Aw, beans. Hello. Hi, everyone. It's time for us to do a show. I was just in the middle of cleaning my glasses, having one of those, my microfiber cloth is not clean enough moments, but I haven't cleaned it. And I bought myself two other ones. I became a glasses wearer last year, and I was like, bet. I got one microfiber cloth that came with my glasses, but I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy two more. And then I moved across the country. And I still don't, it's 7 months later and I still don't know where all my shit is. To be fair, there's a pretty sizable box just off camera over here on this side that I need to finish going through. Maybe I should just start setting myself like, spend 5 minutes with that box every day. Just 5 minutes a day. Anyway, hi Emma, welcome. Other people in the YouTube chat, don't forget to hit the like button. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. It helps support the show. Ancom Jane is not going to be enforcing the like button stuff today. So somebody, yeah, Riffs No Leads came in. Again, we have Godless, Cosmic Fantasy, Dali, Casinova, 10K, hello, Mickey, yes. Who's on the website chat today? On the website chat, we have Gayfash, hello, and Nouvenon. I am constantly buying more microfiber cloths. Like, where do they go? Like, where do they end up? Where do they come from? Where do they go? Where do they come from? Cotton Eye Joe. I just do not understand. I think I threw them in a box of like, this is miscellaneous stuff that belongs on my desk. And that happens like basically every time we move. We each have a box that's like, here's a bunch of stuff that's actively on my desk right now. And then those boxes, because they're full of a bunch of miscellaneous shit, never get unpacked. And then we end up with a different collection of random shit. But yes, it is Sunday. How's everybody's weekend going so far? I had a pretty good day yesterday. We went bowling with a couple of friends where we now have a couple local people who we know and talk to, so that's cool. And then I went to the farmer's market and I got some cool stuff. I really enjoy being a weekend farmer's market person. I do think it would be better if I could get out there earlier in the day. Like earlier in the morning, especially when it's warm, because then you have all these vegetables and fruits that have been like in the heat. And again, it's a parking lot. As with many farmers markets, the classic tradition of the farmers market happens in a big fuck off parking lot. And it's obviously like warm, there's asphalt, and the heat radiating up off it's like hotter there than it is in the surrounding part of the town, the area. So, you know, a little warm, but it wasn't too bad this weekend. We've had a cool down slightly here in the valley. We did have some like 90, 100 degree bullshit for a few days there, but then it's now cooled back down. We've had a couple cloudy days. We even had some rain. I don't know how common it is to get rain in August, but I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm here for. Every day I look outside and it's overcast, I'm like, yes. Okay. Just trying to fix the angle of my microphone here. And then this evening, we've been trying to get, well, I don't know, we haven't been trying too hard, but our friend who's back in Kansas, we're like, we want to spend time together. We need to find some video game. And so we've convinced him to try World of Warcraft Classic. And he was like, oh yeah, like I'm down to play some on Sunday, like afternoon, evening. And I was like, yes. So I have that to look forward to this evening. I have to watch some more Star Wars Andor. We're going to record the episode for the final 3 episodes of season 2, the final 3 episodes of the show, period. And I need to do a watch through, which I might not actually have time to do this evening. I might end up just having to wake up early tomorrow morning and do it because it's also Alterac Valley weekend. Basically, every third weekend, there's an event in World of Warcraft that consumes a lot of my time. I'm not going to go into too much depth about it because I think people are not super interested in my myopic little specific video game that I like to play. And World of Warcraft itself has a bad reputation. Trust me, I don't like that there are a bunch of assholes who play that game. I just also really enjoy the game. And it's a thing for my partner and I to do together, and then now it's a thing that we can do with our friend. So always excited to, you know, have more people to share my sickness with. Ooh, we're getting some volume today. Yes, finally doing the finale of Andor. And then next we're going to do, we haven't decided it. Oh, well, so we're going to do Rogue One because we finished Andor and we're going to do Rogue One and look forward to Demon Mama and I probably getting into a fight during that. Not a serious fight. It's all in good fun, but probably we're going to butt heads. Oh no, we already talked about it a little bit on the podcast and it's like, oh, I can see that we have very different opinions about this movie. So that's going to be fun on Gayfesh's channel, youtube.com/@gayfesh, probably. And what else is going on this week? I don't think I'm going to be on Takis this week. Planned obsolescence strikes again. Box time. Yeah. So speaking of the treasure chest, what's in the box? Over here. I gotta find I need to put it up on a pedestal. It needs to be up on a pedestal or something. So even if it's in the shadow back there, at least I can point to it and there's like a vague outline or something. I don't know. I'll think about it. I actually have something that could go in that spot. I don't know. I'll think about it some more. But anyway, the treasure chest. We did not manage to open it last time. So I removed what was in there. I actually think that I left what was in there for 2 different shows, possibly. But anyway, we lost the opportunity to see what was in it last time. But what's in there this time, if we get to our goal of $100 in donations today, preferably directly on my website and not through Super Chats, but that's fine. Super Chats are still good. They just won't count toward the goal for reasons. But if you're a classic fan, if you've been a fan for a while, you have seen this already, but you will be happy to see it again. And if you're newer to the community, I think that you will also probably enjoy what's in here. So that's the incentive for today. Yes, trapping your friends in your preferred Skinner box is the height of camaraderie. This show is to DM like Captain America is to you. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I really did enjoy the first half of the season. And then the second half, I was just like, I think it's just because of how rushed it is. Like, you've taken something that was good and have made it bad, is kind of how I feel about it. Is like, I want to like it, but I shouldn't have to imagine the good parts of your show. Like, for things to be implied is different, but I feel like with the second half of Star Wars Andor season 2, I'm like, I feel like you're asking me to imagine lots of things happening off screen that is just like not working for me. But specifically Rogue One, I think is where we're going to conflict the most because I think that movie is boring as fuck. But that's all the spoiler I will give for the episode conversation where we talk about that. And then after that, we're going to do some kind of horror thing. We haven't decided exactly what that is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, I don't really love horror, but I think it's probably going to be good to try to get into it from a film perspective rather than like, anytime when I was younger and I was watching horror movies, it was like watching a movie to experience a movie, which obviously can be kind of hard if you have panic attacks and other sensitivities. So, yeah, looking forward to doing some kind of fun, spooky Halloween thing. I saw a local business here is already posting on Instagram about, spookifying their business. Like, boo, ghosts, we're redecorating. And I'm going to see, so actually I've seen 2. I saw one local business online that was like, we're bringing back our pumpkin flavor, whatever it was. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that was going to start in August, but I'm not mad at it. And then, yes, another local business being like, we're redecorating and now it's going to be spooky time. Like, oh, I moved to the correct place. I didn't know that we were going to be, just so culturally fitting in here in that way where I'm like, I'm ready for spooky time now. I guess, I don't know, like, We still have an entire harvest festival between now and Halloween, but I am okay with entering spooky time a little early. Riffs says, I find gory films to be the easiest to ease into the horror genre with. It's so obnoxious that it removes a lot of the tension, unless blood and guts is too much for you to handle personally. Yeah, I think. Well, okay, so you get into a place where I'm thinking about special effects, right? I'm at that point in my film analysis, not like, I don't know, my personal evolution in terms of what I look at in films. So if something is really gory, I'm probably going to be like, ooh, how much of this was practical and how much of this was CGI, and like, how did they accomplish this? And like, that's the kind of stuff that interests me now. So the most recent movie that I watched that really deeply upset me in a horror movie sense was called Life from 2007. Ryan Reynolds is in it briefly, but it starts out, it's like basically the opening scene is like one graphic thing after another happening. And like it's just like really brutal, and it just feels like there's no break in the tension for such a long period of time, and it's such an intense level of body horror, and it's like a lot of it is implied body horror. I guess I'm gonna spoil the beginning of this movie. So it's about a space. It's like we're doing space observation and trying to find new life. And shut up, Naomi. I'll talk about that in a second. Sorry, I'm being playful. So at the beginning of this movie, Ryan Reynolds is like in space, and there's a doctor who is like doing research on an alien that's small. It starts small, but then as it exposes itself to more DNA, it gets bigger and more protein. It changes and it mutates like quickly. So it like gets mad at the scientist because the scientist is like zapping it to try to see how it responds, and it like crushes his hands because he's got his hands in those like the rubber, the big rubber gloves where you put them inside a box kind of thing, and like crushes that dude's hands, and he's like, I'm suffering. And then like Ryan Reynolds, who's I guess a security officer, comes in and is like, I'm gonna get that alien, but then the alien attacks him, and then it like enters his mouth and goes inside his body and kills him that way. So a lot of that is implied, and there's like this evolution I feel in the scene where you're like, oh man, it's choking him, and then you realize like as he starts to look more kind of bloody and stuff, you're like, oh no, it's thrashing his insides apart. And I don't know what else happens in that scene because I left the room feeling like I was going to throw up. And that was a thing that has never happened to me before when I'm watching a movie. I think it might have been because I had so recently had like a physically traumatic event happen to me, which I've since then received like treatment for, and it doesn't like bother me as much in that way. So yeah, that was a crazy movie. And I think, yeah, it's the implication that it's not so overtly gory as it is like, oh, like realizing how fucked up the thing is that's happening and being able to imagine it. What was it? Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever that was banned in the UK not because it really explicitly shows anything, but because it's like implied how horrible it is. And like, even though it is not on screen, it still is so horrifying to watch that they were like, we're going to censor this movie. Anyway, Naomi, thank you for letting me be playfully bitchy at you. Is the Mulan video essay going to be released in late 2026? Yeah, so I have the need to finish it, and I'm very close to finishing it. I did not realize how difficult writing an essay was going to be when I embarked on this journey. And sometimes you're in the middle of writing an essay and then you realize like, oh, I have more to say than just the initial inciting idea that I had, and then it kind of gets out of hand. So, hopefully I'm going to finish writing it this week. I guess the more like appearances I have, the less energy and time I have to devote to writing. So like Tuesday, I don't have any appearances. Thursday and Friday, I don't have any appearances this week. So maybe I'll try to focus up that time. Yeah, you got a license for that employed content? Yes, indeed. What's in the box? Yes, classic. Yeah, exactly, Shakespeare. Don't you know YouTube essayist is the hardest job in the world, most dangerous too. Yeah. Uh, I definitely can't claim that it's the most difficult job in the world. Uh, it's just interesting going through like I just feel like the content was weirdly like so the content was lower effort before when I was just like, okay, let's stream and talk about the news and riff, and then I'll edit a video together and like mostly let that be done by automated processes anyway, and then like titles and thumbnails, boom. It's a lot of work, but it's not super difficult, but it is also like emotionally taxing. So you end up like exhausted from that, even though it's like the job itself is not super difficult. So now I'm trying to do, I mean, at least, and again, I was originally thinking like, let me just kind of do some react content. Let's watch some movies and just react to them. And maybe I should go ahead and stick with that because writing an essay is taking me for fucking ever. And I don't know how to improve that workflow without just like taking a week off from streaming and focusing completely on the essay. One of these days I'll write an essay about Worf as an outsider to both human and Klingon society. True. Yes. So I decided to watch True Blood because I was just like, whatever, let me put something on. I only ever got through to season 2 when I was younger, and I'm now in season 5, and there are 7 total, I think. And so I think that I'm gonna make a probably just React Andy video when I finish it about like, because I want to do it now, but we'll see like if it really seriously falls off later on. But True Blood is good, actually. It turned like I've been watching it and going like, oh, this is trash, and I am just having a fun time. But I think it's good, actually, and it has interesting things to say, and it explores like human experiences in a way that is like literally riveting. Like, it is very difficult for me to do anything else while it is on. So honestly, that's just been like a lot of my free time this week. Anytime that I'm not spending working, like if I'm in the evening, it's True Blood time. Everything makes me depressed right now. Well, I mean, I feel like it's good to try to look for things that will make you happier. I feel like it's making a difference. I'm ignoring bullshit online. Worf is just like Piccolo with fundamental differences. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I do think there's something interesting to be said there about, Worf in that position where, yeah, I mean, and it seems self-evident to anyone who's watched Star Trek, but it is worth exploring and looking at the details and like the specific situations and everything. But being like adopted by a human family, so he's raised with human values and ethics and stuff, but they did try, I think, Worf's family to like involve him in like Klingon culture. Like they didn't try to keep it away from him, I don't think. But he was never fully accepted in human culture because obviously he is a Klingon and there is a lot of racism. And then like when they meet with Klingons, they're like, you a bitch. And I mean, it's like an allegory for transracial adoption, right? Basically. I haven't seen DBZ, so I don't get that reference. I mean, I think that the joke is that they are not at all alike. Or I don't know, Piccolo is a Namekian, so he's an alien, he's green, and he is on Earth, and he's like he's like one of 2, 3 Namekians that are on Earth at any given time. And I don't know, I think it might have been kind of more of a joke, but I don't know, Piccolo like starts off as a villain and then joins the Z Fighters and is a hero. but he also like does a taboo spiritual absorption technique of other Namekians. So it's kind of, I don't know, I would need to go back and watch it again, I guess, to look at it. I haven't seen Star Trek, but I'm quite sure the comparison is extremely superficial. Yeah, I think that was... And yeah, Piccolo does fit in with the humans eventually. I feel like, you know, amongst the officers, at least on the Enterprise, Worf is accepted. But he does always kind of feel guarded in that context. Worf has a very idealized weeaboo-ish view of Klingon culture. Sure, yeah. He's probably like, whoa, it's so cool, and look at this, and like, whoa, and, you know, without any of the... Yeah, I don't know, it's almost like when you grow up in a peaceful culture and you admire the strength of the warrior, but like if you were in that warrior society, you would have a completely different set of ideals, and you would just be like, I don't know, you would think that Worf is a pussy bitch. Like that is what you would feel, and that is how the Klingons feel toward him. Like that is the situation. Like if you were part of the culture, you would appreciate it in a completely different way, and you would find someone like Worf kind of fucking annoying. Worf be the one who always goes, "Sir, there is a chance they will fire upon us. If we obliterate them preemptively, we will ensure the safety of the crew." And Picard goes, "Thank you, Mr. Worf. I will take that under advisement, but for now, please approach with shields down." Yeah, to be fair, yeah. He is usually trying to posture some kind of assertive strength. Worf's value system is Klingon ideals without the shame of political gains as a motivation. Oh, sure, yeah, he's not like conniving to kill someone in order to take their rank or whatever. Oh, I thought it was a taboo. That's my bad. See, it's been a while since I've actually sat down and watched any DBZ. Although I did sit down and have like an entire hour-long conversation with my partner about it yesterday. Oh my god, hold on. I don't remember who it was. So my partner was showing me a Dragon Ball Z fighting game that he has, and we were just kind of looking through the character screen, and there's like a million billion characters because they have like different versions of each character, as you do in a DBZ game. And there was a guy... There was a dude who reminded me of a meme. Oh my god, please don't try to get me to use fucking AI mode. No, it's not Piccolo. There was a green guy who wasn't... So this is the difficulty. I'm like, he was a green dude, and it wasn't Piccolo, and it wasn't fucking Cell, and I do not know who else it was, but it reminded me of the Charlie Kirk meme where the face is like pinch zoomed in, you know, and like the head is real big still, and the face is just like... I don't know who the fuck it was. Oh, man. I'm gonna text my partner and see if he can... I'm gonna see if he'll respond. Is it Lord Slug? Maybe. Ah! Yes. I think it is. I think this is who I am looking for. Or Bojack? Okay, yeah, it was Lord Slug. Okay, let me show you. Okay. It was this guy. You know, he reminds me of that meme of Charlie Kirk, and his face is just like, you. Nuvenal, I'm glad that you have an encyclopedic knowledge of this. That was helpful. Worf is the Ned Stark of Klingons. Wait, how? Hold on. Because Ned... Hold on. There's pretty much always a mixed race character in every Star Trek. We have Spock, Worf. Well, Worf isn't mixed race. He's just like a Klingon raised by humans. So transracial in that sense. Like transracial adoption means like a black kid growing up in a white family via adoption. So that's like a transracial adoption. Oh, because Ned Stark is honorable to a fault. Okay, true. Yeah, well, I mean, that's actually not the case. Ned Stark famously sacrificed his honor in terms of his wife, ignoring the practicalities of politics. Sure, okay, yeah, in that way. Yeah. Okay, sure, that makes sense. I'm just being pedantic now. Which Star Trek is Torres from? Because I haven't actually seen all of the Star Treks. There's always a far outsider in Star Trek as well, such as Data, Odo, Seven of Nine, etc. Data is my favorite Star Trek character, hands down. Like, I just don't know. I don't know how you can beat that. He's just so good. That's true. Yes, Ned Stark sacrificed his honor for honor. I mean, like twice he sacrifices his honor for love. Like, I think that that's kind of like what Ned Stark represents, is the tension between honor and love. And like that's like an ongoing theme throughout Song of Ice and Fire, is the tension between duty and protecting your family, and like exchanging love for responsibility. So it's like he loved his sister, and so for her he was willing to lie and sacrifice his honor. And he loved Sansa, and so he lied about trying to usurp Joffrey's throne in order to save her because he loved her. So that's, yeah, I don't know. I think that that's kind of how I interpret that, at least. But generally speaking, I do understand what you mean, that Ned Stark is like always preferring to do the honorable thing. So there's like a video essay in here, or at least like a me popping off for 30 solid minutes about how A Song of Ice and Fire from a certain angle could be interpreted as an autistic story, or like the tension between neurodivergence and the way that society is actually run, because you have all of these like rules and expectations regarding honor. And so the Ned Stark is like represents the neurodivergent adherence to honorable principles, and the idea that your word is like a significant thing, that like to say something and to follow through on it is really important, and that lying is extremely dishonorable and all that. And like, so being a neurodivergent person trying to navigate through a world where people are just openly eschewing those rules and norms for the sake of their personal gain, and the expectation that you have to adapt to this conniving, secret, underhanded, indirect way of operating, and how it does undermine core principles like loyalty, honesty, honor, trust. Yeah, Shakespeare. I will say, yeah, the addition of the Tywin Arya stuff in the show was fantastic. That was not in the books. Okay, but Worf also accepted discommendation for a crime his father didn't commit in order to prevent the Klingon Empire from devolving into civil war. Highly honorable behavior, for sure. Sacrificing personal honor for the greater good. That's more of a Jaime Lannister comparison, I think. Because Jaime, like, killed his king and sacrificed his honor in that way, partially for love, because the king commanded him to kill his father, but more so because the relationship with his father was always very strained. More so, it was the sense of greater good that the king was going to, like, burn down the entire city. Eric says, as a teenager, I had a highly intense lust for data. Puberty and autism, yo. True. That's so funny. Torres is from Voyager. Okay, thank you. I'm working my way through all the Dragon Ball comics right now. I'm in a hella special interest mode for Dragon Ball. Hell yeah. That's fun. I think Vegeta is my favorite character in Dragon Ball. He already was my favorite character, but then the whole, like, that's my Bulma from Super was like, oh man, that's so cute. Gay Asparagus, welcome in. I love when, I was about to say I love when we have so many likes, but it's like, okay, we have fewer viewers than we have likes, which means people are coming in here and hitting the like button and then deciding that they do not want to hang out. Which, like, thanks, but also, like, meh. I wish we could get more people in here for bullshit hangout streams. I feel like I was pretty clear in the title that we're just talking about bullshit. I don't know. It's not the right flavor of bullshit for some people, I suppose. I wanted that android, fully functional, etc. Oh man, yeah, that's pretty funny. That's good stuff. I don't think Brent Spiner is all that attractive, really, but I mean, it's about the character and the extreme subtlety of his portrayal, which is, it's a crime that man never got any awards for it. Okay, I don't need Lord Slug on here anymore. I texted my partner. I was like, who is that guy who reminded me of the pinch zoom face Charlie Kirk? Big green head, tiny face. And he was like, Bojack. Or maybe that was the guy with the Ganondorf vibes. And you guys had already helped me, so I just said, I told him, Lord Slug, thank you. And he said, LOL, Lord Slug, I didn't help at all. Like, no, he did not help at all. Like, Bojack was, he does remind me of Ganondorf in one of the iterations. Like, what else do I have going on right now that we can chit-chat about? Sup, Dank Cat Lord. Yeah, it's Data's personality. That sparkly skin and yellowish green neon eyes just do something for me. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Steve Shives has a couple really good videos about Data. Like, does Data actually experience emotions prior to being fitted with an emotion chip? Or, like, what is Data missing as a... Like, is there anything that Data can't experience that a human can experience? Because he often expresses longing for experiences that humans have. And it's like, but, like, dude, you can have sex. Like, you play with your friends. You miss people when they're gone. Like, I don't know, man. It seems like you got, like, most of it. Question, has anyone ever guessed correctly what's in the box? In a roundabout way, yeah. I mean, do you want to guess what's in the box? You're welcome to. The treasure chest today has something in it that classic fans of mine have seen before. But you're going to be happy to see it. Like, that's the point. You're going to be like, hey, throwback, that's awesome. We get to $100 in donations today. Which, we haven't gotten any donations, which is fine. You know, I'm not, like, upset or anything, but just, you know, like, it's appreciated. Like, throw me $5. It's my job. This is the thing that I'm most consistent about, y'all. Even when I'm sitting here saying, like, ooh, I'm working on this Mulan video, blah, 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 blah. I can't be consistent with that. I'm not good at it. It's not something I'm in the practice of. But I'm sitting here, like, I'm pretty consistent, I think, compared to a lot of other streamers. Like, you pretty consistently get me twice a week. So, we're here to have vibes and talk about ideas. Of course, Data feels emotions. His emotions just don't map to a neurotypical experience. Yeah, I mean, it very much seems like, what is an emotion if not like okay, if someone is gone and you miss them and you're like, I'm kind of bummed out by that. Like, I notice that I wish this person was around even though they're not. Even if you don't have an accompanying, like, you know, squeezing feeling in your chest, like the mere experience of being like, wow, it really sucks that that person I know died. Like, yeah, that is sufficient. Or like being bummed out that you're about to die or lose your right to choose, like, because I think Data is very obviously emotionally affected. I mean, he obviously like dislikes people and can be annoyed with people. Just thinking of the measure of a man, which is the episode that I've seen the most often. I'll go back and rewatch that one periodically. I don't want to see it. I'm scared of boxes. They might be mimics. I do think it could be kind of fun if I like put a bunch of like paper teeth or something on the inside of that. Could be cute. Hello, Jessica. Welcome in. John is guessing a black lightsaber. That is a good guess. I can neither confirm nor deny that there's a black lightsaber in there. It feels like Data internalizes that he doesn't feel emotions, even though he just experiences them differently. Like, if he actually didn't feel emotions and was just a robot, he wouldn't be as fun of a character. Yep, it's true. Dude, my cat is in the other room and he is screaming. I love the Darksaber. What is the Darksaber? I'm actually not familiar. Is it literally like a blacklight Darksaber? Like a blacklight? Oh, that's kind of cool. I had never seen that before. That is from a Star Wars that I have not seen. It's cool, though. Some internal eyeballs with the teeth. Like, yeah, the teeth, like, drop down or something. A void saber. Okay, okay. Picking up what you're putting down. Oh, I usually don't plug it during the show, but I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna try something. Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this. Look at that. Subscribe, click the bell, and join my Patreon. Consider joining up at Patreon. I just posted for all of my members today a picture of my cat. I don't post pictures of my cat on social media. If you want to see pictures of him, I post them periodically. You only have to join for $1 to get, like, sneak previews. I posted a sneak preview of my script, of my Mulan script. So if you want to see, like, a little peek into what I want to talk about in that, there's all kinds of cool stuff on the Patreon. Also, YouTube memberships get some of those things too, but OMG, an ad came on and was full blast. Yeah, that's always the case. I literally cannot make my microphone any louder. I know sometimes people are like, it's kind of quiet. Like, I keep fucking with the settings and it like just... hold on, let me do one more little adjustment. Let me see. Where's my profile? Mic, there we go. Where's the gain? Makeup gain? Okay, you know what? I'm going to turn up the makeup gain by like 7 points. What if I turned it all the way up? Is like, has that changed anything yet? Or do I need to click save or something? Like, I don't know. Is it going to destroy the quality of the sound coming through? What if I take it back down here? Is it going to get any quieter? Okay, no, this is, yeah, okay, it was bad. Great. So I'll put it back where it was, which was 10. See, it wasn't showing me that it was much louder on here. Like, did it even get louder? Or was it just crunchy and distorted? Because it didn't really seem like it was louder. Is it perfect now? Like, I liked it when it was loud, now it's too quiet. Okay, so what if I put it up at like I'm going to put it up at 14. So now I've made a change and I'm not going to touch it and I'm not going to make it go insane crunchy. What is this? Is this louder and like good? Is there enough gain boost now? This is bad already. Okay, great. That's kind of what I assumed was going to happen. Now I've brought it down to, it was originally at 10 and now it's at 11. So I went from 10 to 14 back down to 11. Crank it up to 48. Well, the highest it goes is 24. So, and you hated that. So it's YouTube's fault anyway. Don't worry about it. Well, I do notice when I pull stuff into the editor, my video editor, I do notice that it is kind of quiet and I end up having to boost it. So it's like, I don't know why it is like that. How much do I need to dono for 420 69 decibels? A lot. Now we're getting chants for 48, 48. Y'all, so silly. You little goobers. You little beans. $420 decibels is impossible. Nothing is impossible if you don't care about whether you live through the experience. I don't actually know if there's a way for me to put a corresponding sound with the animation that pops up over here, like the little subscribe and check Patreon thing. I used to add it manually when I used to put that animation in my videos, which I don't know why I stopped doing that. Maybe I should start it again, but I would put a click sound in it. 420 decibels would destroy the planet. See? There you go. Physics says otherwise. Well, stop trying to rain on my parade, okay? I think if you embed the audio in the video clip, it would play in OBS. I can't remember if it is a video clip, though, or if it's like a different file type. I don't even fucking know. I would have to dig through my files to find it. The only reason I was able to easily add it on here is because it was already in my Streamlabs memory when I was fucking around with some settings recently. Like, I made some quality of life changes. I changed the background of this to make it so that the text is easier to read behind the chat. And then, like, I changed this down here so that you can more easily see my name and pronouns. And I changed some settings with the donation bar up here. So while I was in the middle of doing that, I was like, oh yeah, that little lower third thing pops up. I remember that. And then I was like, okay, let me turn it back on. I must have turned it off for some specific reason and just couldn't remember, or just didn't think to turn it back on. Yeah, physics says otherwise. You can skirt the laws of man, but the laws of physics doesn't discriminate. Ugh. Fine. I'll accept that it's a fundamental fact about the universe that 420 decibels doesn't exist. Ugh. Man, my neck is sore. John says, I'm in earplugs and stand next to the left sub speakers, kind of raver, but 420 sounds like a lot. I think the jet engine is like 120. Yeah. We're just memeing. We're just being silly. Naomi says, I record music sometimes, and I always have an issue with getting good volume without a ton of clipping. Okay, so at least it's not a unique problem. Like, I have a really good audio set, like, here, and I literally, like, can't turn any of the settings up any further. So it sometimes I'm like, I don't know what the fuck, why it's like that. But we never have an issue when I'm on like the line. So I think that's what's most important, because I am hoping to put a lot more of my time and energy into the line. I was on like 6 or 7 different shows last month, and I'm only scheduled to be on 2 this month, but I also am going to probably be participating more in some of our behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to hopefully be a contributor on our newsletter. Like, I really would like to be able to contribute more, and like help grow that project more. Mickey says, I'm just going to port to a dimension where 420 dB does exist. Yeah, exactly. Having a high volume without a lot of clipping requires a powerful power amp with lots of headroom. Modern gear doesn't really call for this anymore since most people listen at lower volumes or through ass speakers. Fair enough. All right, no worries. I mean, like, I have done everything that I can do. I was like, if I try to boost the gain anymore, it will destroy the sound quality, and it's really important to have good sound quality, isn't it? So I went to the farmer's market this weekend, and I probably spent more money than I really needed to, but I was pleased to get almost all of the vegetables that I needed for this week. Although I ended up like fucking up the dish that I was trying to make last night, and so I didn't end up needing the red bell pepper that I can't get. I'm like, do people not like red bell peppers as much or something? Or like, is it just still too early in the season? Like, I'm imagining that right now is when they should be ripening, but I haven't seen a single yellow, orange, or red bell pepper at the farmer's market so far. So I don't know if it's just because like people only eat green peppers. And I know at the grocery store they usually have more green peppers available than they do red peppers, but fucking several of the recipes I've tried to make recently call for red bell peppers, and I've just had to omit them or replace them with something else. Hello, kitty. Says the loudest speaker ever made is 165 decibels and is usually used for things like noise cancellation at airports. Ooh, crazy. How loud does so there's like a machine that makes sound that is used in crowd dispersal. How loud does that thing get? It can get loud enough to damage your hearing. Bells of all colors are available now. Okay, so is this just a preference thing? Like, and I'm talking about seasonality, you know, and I'm in the Willamette Valley, and I don't know if it's just like not hot enough here right now. I don't know how that could possibly be the case, but I love all bell peppers. Seriously, yes, capsicums, underrated vegetable. I was such a huge fan when I was a kid. I would be like sitting in my high chair or whatever, and my grandma would be like cutting vegetables, and she would just hand me like sliced green peppers, and I was like, just, I've always been a vegetable kid because I was being given them, and like, you know, green peppers are good, and they're refreshing and like crunchy, and it's a good sensory experience. Ugh. And often you're pulling them directly out of the fridge, so there's like a cold, crisp, refreshing. Oh man, I should just get a green or like a green pepper just to eat it. Like, they're so good. You can't really just chomp into it like an apple. Danger seeds on the inside, but a quick snack to cut up and devour. I don't know the difference. When I make a vegetable thing, I do one red one green one just for color. So it's the same thing, but it's more ripe if it's red. In the same vein, jalapenos turn red when they are ripe, but there's a flavor difference. And it's usually that they become sweeter which I think is true of a lot of like fruits and vegetables because starches break down into sugars. So like a banana has more like nutritional benefit when it's less ripe, and it becomes more of a sugar thing, and like some of the nutritional benefit breaks down somewhat as it ripens more and more, which is why you use brown. I didn't mean danger seeds like they're gonna be too hot. I meant danger seeds like a mouthful of seeds. That's all I meant. But yeah, red peppers are just sweeter. Oh, brown bananas for banana bread. I think I didn't finish my sentence. Brown bananas for banana bread because there is a higher sugar content in ripe bananas. Bell peppers in my eggs, onions, and jalapeno. That sounds delicious. Like a delicious egg scramble. I just purchased a carton of egg white because eggs are wonderful, but they do have a high amount of saturated fat in them. So, like, in order to get like a similar nutritional benefit for protein without necessarily getting as much saturated fat, you can eat egg whites. So, like, egg white omelets and that kind of thing. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. I purchased this thing without like a super clear plan. Maybe I'll make egg bites. You know, you can take egg and then like cottage cheese, maybe some actual cheese, ground flaxseed or something, and like then you bake them in a muffin tin pan, and then you have just like a bunch of puck-shaped egg bite things. Or maybe chop up some chives. I use heavy whipping cream to scramble eggs. Ooh, what? That is crazy. I've been using heavy whipping cream in my tea, and then I ran out of tea, and I started using the whole milk that we have, and I was like, wow, this is just worse. Like, the texture of heavy cream in tea is quite lovely, and then I put honey in there, so it's just like, yeah, it's delicious. In my tea arc. Riffs No Lead says onions, green onions, cheese, spam, peppers, tomatoes, and salt and pepper make a frittata. True. I got some multicolor carrots this time at the farmer's market. It was like... there were a bunch of different places I could have gotten carrots, but I was really like, ooh, those are attractive, and I like them. And they had a lot of carrot top on them, which I'm kind of getting annoyed with that, but whatever. So the first batch of carrots that I bought that had pretty big carrot tops, I went ahead and dehydrated those. So I have like a giant jar of dehydrated carrot tops, which you can use like parsley in soups and shit. Or you could add it to like a smoothie, I guess, and like blend it up. And this time I'm going to make pesto because apparently you can use carrot tops as a replacement for basil in a pesto. So I'm excited to do that. Probably gonna do it today after stream. Just like use my stick blender. I really want a food processor. Life is so expensive. When you want like you're like, I need this tool in order to do this thing. Like several of the things on my sort of wish list or Christmas list or whatever right now, are things that are like, okay, if I get a bigger cutting board and a bigger stock pot, then I will be better equipped to butcher chickens whole, because that's like the cheapest way to buy chicken. So I'm like, but there's this like price barrier in the way because a good stock pot is like $200 or $300, and like a nice cutting board is probably going to be at least like $80. This is what credit cards are for. But I did just invest in skincare a bunch, which is like a weird thing, but I'm now in my 30s and I'm on camera all the time, actually. And so I think I should probably care more about my appearance. Like, you know, I'm trying to be cute and dress up for shows and stuff. So I've been like washing my face and moisturizing pretty much daily before, but it was okay. I have this space between my eyes that is always like super duper flaky and dry and rough, and it sometimes goes over onto my eyelids as well. And I just have been like, oh, I guess this is my life. Like, I just need to drink more water or something. But turns out I was using the wrong cleanser. I was using a foaming cleanser, which can fuck up dry skin. And I wasn't using a very good moisturizer. I bought like a body moisturizer and was using it on my face, and it just wasn't helping. Like, I don't know. I should maybe have changed one product at a time instead of both of them. But I don't know if you can tell, but my skin looks way better. I've only been using it for like a week, and like my skin already looks better. Hey, look at that. Subscribe, click the bell, and consider looking at my Patreon to see what's over there. Wow, crazy. I actually saw it pop up that time. That was nice. Just use the Posey Parker filter. Oh, God. What is that? I don't know what that is. Oh, I don't know what that is. Sometimes I get too excited about drinking water and I splash all over myself. Need those to see. All right, cool. I should animate a dragon breathing fire over the subscribe and bell button. I mean, if you're gonna animate a dragon, you might as well like just animate an entire... Like, I literally, this thing that pops up down here, I just downloaded pre-loaded ones off of Streamlabs that you can then plug some of your own. You give it its a custom picture and you type in the text and things. Or the join the Patreon one is completely stock. I did not change that one at all. It's not even possible to change that one. So I guess it could be cool to eventually have custom all this stuff and whatever, but I guess a little dragon just breathing fire could pop up periodically. That would be cute. I really just need to commission some artwork, but man, I just am so worried about spending money. Like, even if I have it, technically, I'm like worried because I'm like, oh, what about saving up for taxes next year? You know, I only just finished paying off my taxes. Like, I put all of them on a credit card. My partner paid a part of it and I was paying part of it. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So I'm hoping to be able to put away some money now and like save up some money so that we can pay the taxes up front next year instead of having to, and like hopefully even over the next 5 years, maybe getting ahead of it so that I can be paying my taxes quarterly rather than paying them at the end of the year. And I think there might be a little bit of a penalty on that as well. Like, I might be paying $100 more than I would be otherwise just because I'm paying it at the end of the year instead of at the beginning. I don't know. Later, Noah. Have fun. This is dangerously close to news and politics, but I retweeted something about Gavin Newsom. Yeah. I retweeted something yesterday about Gavin Newsom, like, personally with his own hands destroying the belongings of his homeless constituents. And like, that was part of the point of me retweeting it. Is I saw this person said, hold on, let me pull this up. The person I was quoting said, he's doing this while smiling. Gavin Newsom, dressed up in his best bad boy attire, invited the press and smiled as he destroyed everything these constituents had in the world. Gavin Newsom is not a bad candidate. Gavin Newsom is truly, at his core, a bad and despicable human being. So I was like, oh, that is a really excellent thing. Like, referring to them as constituents, I think, is really important, actually. So that's what my tweet was. Poignant language moving forward, always refer to them as constituents. Governor Newsom personally destroyed the few belongings of some of his poorest constituents. And someone replied to it, but maybe they have now deleted their reply. Let me go see if I can find, like, my reply. Yeah, this person has deleted their reply. Look at that. Post not found. because someone commented on it like, I'm not going to believe you just because like this random poster, provide context. Bet you won't. Gayfesh saw it. And I was like, I quoted this video, which I just clicked through. I went to the post that I had quoted and I clicked through a couple times, and here was, oh, look at that. Someone posted the context in the comments. So I was like quoting him. He says, oh, we're trying to get these tents off the streets, the encampments off the streets. And I told them this was only a couple clicks away if you weren't so violently lazy. And if you look at the pictures in the original quoted tweet, you can see that there is a bed. Someone is sleeping there. These are people's belongings. So I guess good on you for deleting your fucking post. I don't know if that person is going to like change their mind, but at least they were ashamed enough of how stupid they were that they deleted their fucking tweet. People are so annoying. Like, genuinely, look at this. I just want you to look, okay? So this is the tweet, okay? The person was commenting down here, all right? So this was the page. You click here. And then I clicked here. You threw out homeless people's tents. He threw out homeless people's tents with his bare hands. I'm not exaggerating. He did it on camera on purpose. And I was like, oh, okay, let's click into that. I bet someone posted it right fucking there. It took me 2 seconds. I was like, sure, I'll go find this context for you. It's right fucking there, but sure, I'll quote that for you. God, people are so lazy, like genuinely. So, and like I was using the term violently lazy just as an emphatic, like if you weren't so violently stupid, you know what I mean? But it also just is violent to destroy people's belongings. I was just reading a testimonial yesterday from a homeless woman whose belongings had been swept okay, let me rephrase that. A homeless woman whose belongings were destroyed by agents of the state, a constituent whose belongings were destroyed by the government she is supposed to be protected by. And her testimonial was basically like, I'm worried about my husband's ashes. I hope that his urn is intact and not in a dump somewhere. And that like, those are constituents. They're your neighbors. They're people. They're members of your community. And it's fucked up that like this is just how life is. In Oregon, at least, where like Governor Tina Kotek just I don't know if it was an executive order or if it was legislation or something, but we've just allocated a bunch more funding, or maybe it was just the budget passing. We've just allocated a bunch more funding to building more homes, like more affordable housing, basically. They call them sweeps because they treat us like trash. That's true. Absolutely. Yeah, sweeping the trash off the streets. It's fucked up. Really, really, really fucked up. And especially because I was also reading statistics that like about 40% of homeless people have a job. So these are also taxpayers. I mean, any homeless person who buys fucking anything is paying sales tax, but you know what I mean? Like, taxpayers who've got like income tax, they're contributing to the economy to the extent that it's possible for them to do so. And like, I don't know. And there's more and more every day, like more homeless people all the time. It's just a growing problem. And I mean, I think this was one of the things in DC that Trump was saying is like, we're going to sweep the streets and then they're going to put them in a camp somewhere, or like, we're going to build a place for them to be. So basically they're doing the thing that Hitler did where they're sweeping homeless people off the streets and then putting them in encampments, and who the fuck knows what's going to happen to them. I know I said no news, but I was just so annoyed by this person being stupid on Blue Sky that just had to bitch about it a little bit. The bipartisan consensus on this matter is the most despair-inducing. Truly. Oh my god, excuse me. Yeah. The fact that, and like the fact that most people don't think about this when they're like, we want to fix the homeless problem. There are only two possible ways to, quote, solve the homeless problem. Those are to house people. That's the first option. Or kill them. And letting them die is the same as killing them in this situation. I'm like, If the government chooses to just make life so bad for people that they die, the government has killed people. Like that's just how that works. So yeah, you either provide housing for people, or they like you people just have this idea that they nebulously want homeless people to go away. We need to get these people off our streets. We need to get them out of here, but they don't really contemplate what that means. I don't think they think about it beyond that. They don't think of it in a policy way. They're like, I want these people gone. And then you're like, okay, well, why don't we house them? And they're like, no, I don't want to spend that tax money on that. Or like, I don't think people should get something for free. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want done with them then? And they're like, just get them out of here. And I'm like, but okay. So what you end up with, which what many cities have, like the city I moved away from had this, and the city that I live in now has this, where periodically there are sweeps and homeless people move to a different part of town, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's not always one group thing happening. It's like, even if it's just a few people. So a few people get their shit swept and then they have to go somewhere. And then a few weeks later, it happens again and they have to move again. So this is, you know, it's not only that these people are homeless, it's that their belongings are regularly, like, they imagine everything you have to keep with you at all times, because otherwise, like, not only might someone steal it, but the government might just get rid of your shit. So your medicine, your husband's ashes, your dog's food, or whatever. Like, man, it's not cool. Yeah, these people lack object permanence. They think if they're not seeing homeless people, they simply do not exist. They keep pushing us to the fringes and hope we will disappear, the societal stigma that allows even allies to think that we must deserve it somehow. Yeah, absolutely. And, like, this problem is only going to grow. And I don't really know how to address it either. Like, I don't think there is a solution on a policy level because, like, again, it's a bipartisan issue. Like, the Democrats and Republicans are united that they want to simply destroy their most vulnerable and poorest constituents. Fucking, you wouldn't see a homeless person if you gave them a house. True. Yeah. And, like, the 60% of homeless people who don't have a job, most of those probably don't have a job because a lot of jobs require you to have, like, an address or at least, like, a shower that you can regularly use. And there isn't always an option for a public place to go shower. And, like, maybe it costs money, or maybe the shelter is full, or maybe the shelter's plumbing is fucked up today. Like, what are you supposed to do if you don't have access to clean clothes? If you don't have enough quarters to pay for laundry? Or you only have one pair of clothes? Like, your shit got swept last week, so you only have the clothes you're wearing. How the fuck are you supposed to get a job? Sorry, I know, like, this is a personal issue for several people in this community. Like, we have people who are homeless in this community literally right here in this conversation, and I apologize if this feels in any way objectifying of your experience or is triggering in any way. I've just been seeing a lot about this recently, and it's got me really pissed off. So I am sorry if I have in any way not handled this well. I regularly donate to a charity called Shelter, which works to tackle homelessness and to help the homeless. Yeah. The thing that sucks, too, is that in a lot of places, like, homeless outreach has been outsourced to private entities like charities, but a lot of the time also churches. So if you want to help people who are homeless in your communities, you have to go work with a church. And I don't want to fucking deal with those people. Yeah, lots of places will lock their restrooms and only give you a key if you're a paying customer. Yeah, basically, like, most businesses in this area have signage that says, like, no public restroom. Homeless people are better neighbors than billionaires. I can agree with that. I've had a couple of more intimate, and by intimate I mean like, so I drive around a bunch and I'll drive past. I don't like walk a lot in areas where there are tents, but I've been spending more time around town walking around because like the farmer's market basically like it's the main thing. And so like we're walking to the farmer's market and like we're walking across the sidewalk and someone's got their dog and their dog starts growling a little bit and they're like, oh, stop it, dog. Like, no, what are you doing? And then like this other person is like, hey, you knock it off, dog. And we're like, hey, you know, we're just walking by. No worries. You know, just I feel a little bit bad now. I'm like, okay, maybe walking along the sidewalk near someone's tent is kind of like walking through their front yard. So maybe I should have taken a different route. But still, it's just like, hey, you know, we're neighbors. Oh, don't worry. Your dog is, you know, I know their dog is scary. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Neighborly interactions. The private entities also have been incentivized to not housing clients, dragging their heels and claiming hours of service worked. In Minnesota, there was a huge crackdown. Around 50 companies were affected. Many kick-down-the-door raids happened. A lot of people I know just lost their case managers and programs. Wait, what? There was like... Hold on. So these like private entities that are supposed to be helping people were just like not helping them or like fudging the numbers on stuff, and so they got cracked down on for not following regulations and probably for some amount of wasted budget. But then when those services are eliminated or even temporarily suspended, then that like has a huge impact on the community that they're serving. Yeah, Shelter is a charity based in the UK. They can help with landlord disputes, job and benefit applications, food bank referrals, and utility bills. Yeah. I also just learned that OHIP, which is Oregon Health Plan, like for people who are on OHIP, here you can apply for like rent assistance. So there are programs, but those programs largely exist in blue states. And I don't know if you've looked at a fucking map recently. Hold on. So that's the problem though, is like these kind of programs that assist people are only in blue states, but blue states are also fucking expensive to live in. And they also tend to have big cities and you know, like homeless people hang around big cities because it's easier to get a meal. You know, greater number of people walking past you, greater percentage of chance that you're going to have enough money by the end of the day to buy yourself something or pay for a night in a hotel or a motel or whatever. But yeah, the issue is like, oh, like all of these red states, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit about those people. And like even in blue states where we try to do things that are good, like bureaucratic bullshit can get in the way. We were talking about this on the charity stream. I went on a charity stream for the Trevor Project on Friday. Thank you, Alec, for hosting that. They ended up raising about $1,400. Thank you, Byron, for donating to that. I appreciate you contributing to the fund to support the Trevor Project. But we were talking about how they were supposed to decriminalize drugs, like hard drugs, and they did. They decriminalized hard drugs in Oregon. But what was supposed to happen is that there was also supposed to be, like the law said, we're going to legalize these, or at least decriminalize them, and we're going to provide more safe places for people to use drugs. Like those I don't know what they're called. Somebody help me out. What are they called? When they deliberately create like a safe place for you to go and get clean supplies, and you know, if there's somebody around if you overdose, that kind of thing. It's a harm reduction thing. So we were supposed to put more funding into that kind of shit, and then we just didn't do that. So what you had was people using drugs in public, and of course people hated that, and so they revoked it. They recriminalized all those drugs. And so it's like this cheeky bullshit thing where they can be like, ooh, well, you know, I've just decided like, oh, this, we tried to do this change and it didn't work. Look at you, liberals. Look at you, fucking idiots. Like, y'all tried to decriminalize drugs. Well, it just made our neighborhoods less safe. Like, okay, well, because you guys just fucking, for some reason, didn't do the other thing you were supposed to do. Yeah, safe use and overdose prevention sites. That is such a long name. I didn't realize that there wasn't like a more concise way to describe that. This almost sounds like news. Shake my head. I know. I'm sorry. I'm just, it's present in my life in a way that it like wasn't before, which frankly is just because I didn't fucking go anywhere. Like especially I didn't go to any parts of the town that I used to live in where there were homeless folks, and there was less of a homeless issue there. Or rather it was being suppressed or maybe just managed enough to make them less visible. But so I'm seeing it more now and it bothers me a lot. I used to work in training people to work at safe injection sites, actually. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good work. Safe use site. Okay, that's like a shorter way to, okay, put it. Safe use site. Safe injection site, also another, or SIS. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's just fucking stupid. Just be like, ooh, yeah, well, you decided to decriminalize drugs. Well, look at what it did. Like, sure, if we just don't do any of the harm reduction stuff we're supposed to be doing, then sure, like it will lead to more drugs out in public. I don't know if there was a corresponding rise in crime or anything, or if it was just strictly like the aesthetic, like that people did not like seeing drugs in public. Not sure. Because it was up to a vote originally. Okay, Shakespeare has shared with us. Okay, so there were FBI raids of Minnesota Housing Stabilization Service providers in the state of Minnesota because of alleged fraud. So is that illegitimate? Is that like the federal government is fucking with Minnesota and trying to ruin the good work that they're trying to do for people? Or was there actual fraud? That's the question. We got HRT needle exchange at the events I help organize. Safe use for all injections. True. Hello, Psychoplebeian. It's both because there was actual fraud. Okay. 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 You got to have a robust public health program around this stuff. Lots of safe injection sites and HR programs available, day centers, and low bar access day treatment available for decriminalization to work, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess, yeah, that's the big difference. Like, decriminalization is like people are more able to do it in public without their life getting ruined further. But it's not a way of reducing use or helping stabilize those people. It's like we do still, it's a fine line between, we want to have people, like drugs are decriminalized so that people can just make choices about their own bodies, frankly, as long as they're doing it safe and like not driving or what the fuck ever, you know, within reasonable limits, or like they're not becoming violent after. But the problem isn't the drugs, it's the violence, right? In that situation. So yeah, I don't know. I just, but and then like versus like, yeah, you want to keep it away from kids and you don't necessarily want someone passed out in public. Like sometimes drugs like can cause people to have overdoses in public and stuff, and that is an issue for the public. Like, I don't know, or someone might piss themselves and there's a hygiene issue. Decriminalization also keeps your local plug and dealer employed. Street work is also work. Yeah, that's true too. It's decriminalization prevents you know, families from being harmed by having one of their primary sources of income taken away. Also, it can be difficult addressing this state by state versus wider areas or national. Yeah, like having a more cohesive response might be better. Excuse me. Ah. Oh my gosh, I don't know what happened there. I had to like hiccup burp, hiccup burp, hiccup burp like 3 times in a row. But yeah, like the original point that I was making that started this whole tirade is like the language that we use to describe these issues I think is important, and I think it's important to say like Governor Newsom personally destroyed the belongings of some of his most vulnerable constituents. They're not just homeless people, right? They're not like an object. They're constituents, they're contributors, they're members of society, they pay taxes, they deserve rights and access to services that will assist them. It's the larger, dangerous, organized crime aspects that really need to be targeted, not some mom struggling with a serious illness like addiction or the local plug trying to pay off their medical bills. Yeah. It's a shame that legalize looks better on a shirt rather than decriminalize. Yeah. Decrim. I'm for decrim, okay? Let's decrim this bitch. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is new to me. I didn't actually know that this was a thing. So I knew that raw milk was like bad for you, and so I always drink. Oh my god, we're so close to 69 likes. I just realized 61 likes. We haven't gotten a single donation today, by the way. If you are enjoying hanging out with me, consider dropping me $5 on my website, luxander.net/donate. When we get to $100, or if we get to $100, we'll find out what's in the treasure chest over here in the corner. Decriminalized, but then the sides get cut off, so it's just criminal. True. But yeah, raw milk. I didn't know that raw milk could cause birth defect problems. Lemony Limelight, hello. So it can cause issues for your reproductive situation. Like I'm seeing that this mom or potential mom like had a miscarriage because she was drinking raw milk, which led to a bacterial infection. And I found out that, yeah, like there are contagious things that you can get from milk. Like I saw someone like they got sick because they had contact with someone who had been drinking raw milk. And I just really don't trust any company or organization that is like, we're going to provide raw milk to people. Because, like, this person points out that, raw milk is labeled not for human consumption, but it's being sold in milk bottles at health food stores for people to buy. There was a farm, a CSA, I don't remember what CSA stands for, in this context, but like a farm CSA is where you pay a large amount of money up front at the beginning of the season, and the farmers use that money to kickstart the growing season, and then you get a guaranteed like amount of food from that farm for the duration of the growing season. Long story short, that's how that works. And there was a CSA that I was looking into, and I'm like, but they provide raw milk products, and I don't fucking trust their organization. I think that that's bad. Same reason some cheese is bad when pregnant. Yeah, like certain cheeses are like unpasteurized. Oh, you were going to donate earlier, but the chat was sounding important and I didn't want to interrupt. No worries. I appreciate it. Being thoughtful. It's a little bit better now that I'm not clipping any of this out and putting it up on the channel, so interruptions are just like part of the... Oh, TTS is on though, so if you donate...
Inabox gifted 5 tier 2 subscriptions. Rar milk.
There you go. Thank you. That's very kind. Enjoy your gifted subscriptions from Inabox. That's Shakespeare, She Who Knows No Name, Gayfesh, Lemony Limelight, and Naomi Faithless. Not to mention CSA is a horrible acronym. Listen, you can't every acronym is an acronym for something horrible, okay? Like ED is for eating disorder and erectile dysfunction. There just are so many. It's community supported agriculture is what it stands for. So community supported agriculture type of farm. And that means that we have gotten $25 for today. Treasure chest. What's in there? Who knows? And y'all know, sometimes I'll remove shit from the box. If we don't open it, if we don't manage to open it, we lose the opportunity to see what's in there. Oh, those were two. Oh, no, that was a $50 donation because those were tier 2 subs. I'm so sorry. That was $50. Thank you, Inabox. Good gracious. That was very generous. Turns out I can't fucking read. Yeah, shaking fist at all the other white names. In a box, you're the only one allowed to be a white name? Decriminalization allows the it allows the stability to treat addiction, stabilize and medicate mental illness, heal from physical ailments. It also helps eliminate the whole homelessness part of the issue. Oh, wait, hold on. No. Housing First Initiatives. I'm sorry, I missed your first message. Housing First Initiatives is one of the most important things to advocate for to support people experiencing homelessness because it allows the stability to treat addiction, stabilize and medicate mental illness, heal from physical ailments, and eliminates the entire homelessness part of the issue. Yeah, so that's so Housing First Initiatives is how can we build some kind of affordable housing or free housing, transitional housing, so that people have a place that's private, maybe very small, but private, where they can keep their belongings. There's a door that locks, and it's for you to have a place, to clean yourself up, not be worried about people stealing your shit or not being able to sleep through the night because you're literally sleeping next to a highway or something. Very important. Direct mutual aid and state aid is what have been keeping my friends in self-surviving. Community is clutch. Government benefits with permanent solutions would be better. Totally. Yes, it would be. Yeah. It feels like the only thing we can really do is physically go support people, offer to buy someone lunch or just give them $20 unconditionally, or even I'm trying to do even just more basic level, now that I'm experiencing more direct contact in my community with people who are just out on the street all the time, I'm just trying to acknowledge their existence, I think is a big part of it. Obviously people can be uncomfortable with someone coming up and asking you for money. It's awkward. I've had it happen before. It's, I'm ooh, sorry, I don't carry cash, babe. Whatever. Most of the time I don't carry cash. So it can be awkward. And I think that this leads to a situation where people don't even look at folks. Or, you might be concerned that sometimes you make eye contact with someone and they start going aggressive. What are you looking at? So it's there's these multifaceted reasons why people don't even acknowledge homeless folks. And I am trying to not do that, at the very minimum, looking at people and giving them a little smile or a little wave or whatever, or saying, have a good day or whatever to people. It's the fucking bare minimum to treat folks like they exist. How crazy would it be to be I'm fucking invisible in society? Emoji at will. True. Can we get some dicks in chat? Some dicks emojis? Y'all who are newly christened with a blue name. Ian points out that decriminalization means the government will lose part of the supply of their legal slaves prisoners, so not likely at the moment. Yeah, yeah, I think that's fair. That's a fair criticism. My tiny remote township moved away from shelters and toward emergency housing where you have a private room and shared living spaces, or a small apartment, or in some cases, get full apartments. They made a program also where people with an unused basement or finished attic can receive $20,000 a year to let the township use it for subsidized and emergency apartments. Cool. I would feel super awkward about that unless there was like a separate door to the basement. Like, how are you getting up in the attic? You got to go through my whole house. Like, that would be awkward. But I mean, yeah, get $20,000 a year and get to help the community as well. I'm assuming you're referring to some of the sarcasm people use, Nouvenant. They say people will hear housing first. Hold on, wait. Yeah, they will. People hear the idea of housing first and they'll go, yeah, that'll solve their addiction or that'll solve cruel description of their mental illness, as if those chronic issues are just as easy to handle with no house. Fucking true. Yeah, like, how do you think it's even possible for them to meaningfully address those issues without a place to fucking live? We're not saying that it's going to be the end all be all of all of their problems for the rest of their life, but that it is an important and critical first step to transitioning people back into a more normative role in society. At the shelter, they annoy us every hour and come into our rooms, and all kinds of mundane and relatively harmless stuff is considered contraband and will be taken and discarded. That's insane. It's like, what the fuck do you mean you're gonna take my shit? I'm just trying to sleep here for a night. That's crazy. How dehumanizing is that? That, like, you're just like, okay, this thing that I have, oh, it's contraband? Fucking great. I'm sure that that is expanded to all kinds of shit that you might actually even need, not just mundane objects. My friend has a unit in an older woman's second floor and attic since the lady can't get up the stairs. They had outside stairs installed, so now it's an income-based rent, and it worked really well, and she didn't end up homeless. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that before, where houses are converted into multi-unit, and so you end up with like a big staircase outside going up to like a door in the side of the house up there. In Britain, it's weird because it's faux pas to talk to most people in the street beyond perhaps a slight smile. So with homeless people, it's hard to know what the balance is between too much notice and literally treating them as if invisible. In Britain, it's weird because it's faux pas to talk to most... Oh, no, that just got posted twice for some reason. Yeah, but I mean, like, if you would normally, like, look at someone as you pass by or give them a nod or something or give them a smile, like, that it, like... I guess it's a matter of, like, would you normally do this? And it's the whole, like, we can do this with other groups of people too, like the disabled, you know? Sometimes people are, like, either, like, staring or they're, like, trying so hard not to stare that they just are, you're like, whatever, you're not over there, which is not ideal. And, there's like a balance where you're just like, yeah, that person is normal. Like, I might glance over and then kind of do my thing and whatever. Or like, if you make eye contact with smile, like, hey, they confiscate things like razors to shave with. As a trans woman who's never been able to get electrolysis, Jesus Christ, dude, I would be so pissed. But then you're like powerless. You're like, I need a place to stay. So my options are either keep my razor or have a place to stay tonight. Most shelters in the UK don't allow pets, so anyone with a dog would usually prefer to stay homeless. I've been thinking about the whole dogs and homeless people thing recently because I noticed that a decent number of homeless folks do have dogs. And I've noticed several times when a homeless person actually has a puppy, not like a dog with puppies, but like a puppy. And so, like, I'm sure that there are some situations where someone has a grown dog and they're unable to find housing. And part of the difficulty is pet limitations on housing, or like additional security deposit that you can't afford in order to keep a pet at an apartment or a rental. So there are people who are homeless who had their pet already. But I also am kind of curious if it is a deliberate survival strategy to acquire a dog as a homeless person, because people are probably more likely to donate to you, more likely to give you cash if they're like, oh, why don't you get that puppy some treats? Like, oh, poor baby. Like, I do kind of suspect that it is a deliberate kind of, and of course, like, a dog will hear if someone is coming up to you at night. Like, a dog can help protect you. If somebody is going to try to come up to you or whatever, like a big enough dog will bark, it'll warn you, whatever. Like, I can see there being multiple survival-based reasons for a homeless person to acquire a dog if they didn't already have one. A homeless lady asked me for a hug once. I wish I could have helped her more, but I'll remember her forever. Anyway, I try to keep it to the charity donation. Yeah. I think donating to charities is, at the very least, it's an aspirational, hopefully these resources will end up where they need to be. And that those organizations are better able to provide more systemic help and support that we can't necessarily offer as individuals. What's up, Byron? I spent my entire weekend, including into the AM on Friday and Saturday nights, trying to fix an issue that may or may not be pertinent to my last dissertation chapter, and I think I found it. Yes. Nice. Oh, maybe you weren't in here earlier. I did shout out, thank you for contributing $50 to the Trevor Project fundraiser that we did on Friday, Byron. Appreciate that. Quite nice to get some support going to those organizations as, like, just fitting in the rest of this conversation about homelessness and everything. Like, we have to support nonprofit organizations who are doing this work and trying to fill in those gaps where the government is cutting funding on shit. So, Trevor Project, big importante. Muy importante. I just got back on my Duolingo because I'm really like bothered by the fact that I can't speak Spanish. Like, I'm finding myself really bothered by that. It feels like a necessary aspect of being in a community with a lot of immigrants. Donate to local LGBTQ plus orgs, especially grassroots ones. Our local trans mutual aid group has been doing miracles over the past couple years. Totally. Alec having the SA2 music also helped facilitate that decision. Nice. Vet care is hard to access when homeless, so there might be a higher rate of unintended litters, so maybe folks are giving the pups away. Possibly, yeah. So maybe people are just like, oh, my friend who's also homeless, their dog just had a litter of puppies, and so I took one of them, whatever, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Ah, itchy skull. Yeah, and I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing for homeless people to have dogs. I just find it interesting because I'm considering it from, like, that position of, like, is this a tactical choice to try to... I mean, it's companionship, being homeless is lonely, I imagine, especially if you're having difficulty getting access to, like, a shelter or services or anything. So there's a loneliness aspect, but I do think that there is, like, maybe a strategic aspect to it. And I totally do think that dogs can be very happy and well loved and taken care of in that situation. So I'm not saying that it's like abuse or anything of the animal, just to clarify. Ooh, also good to check whether your area has a gender affirmation closet and donate any old good quality stuff there. Yeah, if you're getting rid of clothes, you could give them to the Goodwill, or you could try to find, um, something where for homeless people or for just gender affirming whatever. I think people donate a lot of clothes. So I have had situations before where I've been like, let me look. I know that there is a local LGBTQ closet, but they're not accepting donations right now because there's just too many clothes. The legal org that helped me get my name changed a few years ago is closing down now, probably because of lack of funding, but they existed specifically to offer free legal aid to homeless people. Yeah, so without a legal organization, you're going to end up having to reach out to people individually and going like, "Hey, would you be willing to do some pro bono work?" Or sometimes colleges, like I know KU did this in the Kansas University, their legal student, like their law department at the school would do this kind of pro bono work to like help you do your name change and things like that for trans people. I'm so refreshed this conversation for once isn't just bashing homeless people with pets. That's like what? I don't I don't understand why you would bash homeless people with pets. Like I can see so many reasons why it's a good thing. And like we're in a situation where animal shelters are overfilled, and like when there were a couple times where like I would find an animal. And this has happened more than once, which is kind of funny. But I would find an animal and like try to get in touch with an owner on like Facebook or something, like neighborhood Facebook groups or whatever. And then after keeping the animal for part of the day or for a day, uh, so there was one time where I took an animal to the Humane Society. Two different times I took an animal to the Humane Society, and a third time where I managed to connect with the owner. But when you surrender an animal to the Humane Society, there is often like a box that's like, do you understand that this animal might be euthanized? And so if you were to turn in your animal to a Humane Society or something, you have to, like, you might not ever see that animal again. It would be better if we had more options for fostering. So if you went to the Humane Society and you were like, I need to find someone to temporarily foster my animal and then give it back to me when I am stable again. I think if we did more of that, that would probably be better. I have seen some police videos that I would prefer not to have regarding the dogs of homeless people, but my takeaway was that the love for the animal was lacking from other people besides the owner. Fair, sure. Like, it's a tough situation, and like people mistreat animals, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the owner themselves is being irresponsible. Excuse me. Bro, true. Looking down on people experiencing homelessness who have a pet for having that pet. This means that that person cares more about the well-being of the dog or cat, not the person who desperately just wants to be able to love and provide for their best furry friend. Oh my god. Nail on the head, dude. Sorry, I keep saying man and dude. I don't mean that directed at you. I'm being emphatic generally. Totally though, that is so revealing. And I'm gonna bring that up, and if I ever have this conversation with people, is like, do you actually care more about that dog than about the human fucking person sitting right there? It's so strange how people can do that. They can regard animal well-being more than human well-being. This is part of the reason that I have such issues with like militant vegans. It's like, oh yeah, you want to fucking eat almonds or cashews instead of whatever, like meat, but then like, do you care about the fact that there's human exploitation to producing cashews? Do you care about the environmental impact of eating almonds? Like, Ian says that the right also use this to minimize the issue. Like, how bad could their situation possibly be if they're able to care for a pet? Similarly to how, like, ooh, this disabled person can afford a little treat, therefore they get too much money in benefits. Yeah, this idea that if you're receiving support, your life should be like completely bland and bare minimum. I am guilty of thinking of pets as basically morally equivalent to children. I mean, they're living beings and it's important to care about them. In fact, I think it's important to try to expand our empathy as much as possible. You know, like I'm thinking about going fishing, and right now the level of going fishing that we're at is like catch and release, because my partner gets like violently nauseous when fish is cooking. Like if we have cooked fish that's already cooked, he does not have a problem with that. If I buy fish fillets that are already cooked and frozen and I just heat them up in the oven, he doesn't have a problem with that. But violently ill at the smell of cooking fish. But when we eventually have a place where we can cook outside, or like maybe, you know, ceviche or something, I don't fucking know. Like you can use citrus to get the proteins to tense up or whatever. We could potentially eat fish, is what I'm saying. Fish can experience pain. This is like recent research showing that they sometimes like they can suffer for like up to 20 minutes outside of the water before they actually die. So if you pull out, if you're like, I'm gonna keep this fish. Oh, and it also like hurts them a lot to put them in an ice box alive. So you also should not put them in a cooler or an ice box alive, even if there's water in there, because that also hurts them. You have to bash it to death. Like, in order to humanely eat a fish, and this is also true of crab. I just watched a video about how to take apart a crab and cook it. Because we're fucking, it's Dungeness season here, or just is ending or something. But I've been seeing tons of posts of people crabbing. But the ethical thing to do is to kill them quickly. And so I'm expanding my definition of empathy in the context of still being like, how can we most ethically interact with our environment and, you know, consume animal products and like keep those animals from overpopulating by carefully managing their populations and all that kind of stuff. Oh man, Eric says, I literally got into an argument with an old roommate about the cashew thing while they were eating cashew cheese, and they were mad that I accepted sealskin gloves as a gift from an Inuk artist my mom knows. Yeah, love it. Aren't crabs usually killed using shears? I don't know. I've seen a couple different ways that people do it, and it depends on the crab, sure. And Dungeness crabs are like really big, and so I would think that shears would have a hard time getting through it. What you do is there's a spot on their underbelly. Well, this is one of the ways that you can do it. There's a spot on their underbelly where there is a there's like a nerve center inside their body right there. So I watched a video where a lady took a crab that had been chilled, so it was kind of lethargic, and she grabbed its back legs and she just like hit the underside of him on the corner of her countertop, and just like struck it in a nerve system, and it just immediately died. But you also then immediately so you bash it against the counter corner, some fluid leaks out, so you put a towel down on the floor, and then you pretty much immediately take it over to your cutting board and like rip it in half. So it's like as quick as possible and it's dead. I also saw one where a guy was doing them really quickly, one right after the other. He was doing it over a bucket, like a big barrel, like a rain barrel bucket, and it had a piece of wood that was like attached to the top and like sticking out this way over the top of the bucket. And he was doing something like hitting the crab against that on the bottom side, maybe in a similar nerve cluster. He was like, bow, and then he would slide it up, and the piece of wood would like pop the top of the crab off. So he's just like boom, 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 and like tosses it. Boom, 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 tosses it. That's how you do it with crab. I've had blue crabs fresh caught. They were basically boiled alive. Yeah, that's not your fault, I'm sure, but not desirable outcome. Hey, Mr. Baby. What are you doing? What are you up to? You just came in here and went immediately under my desk, which means that you know that I'm going to pick you up if you get too close to me. Is that what's going on? Yeah, he's like, I'm not falling for that. The sealskin gloves were actually ethically sourced by Inuit hunters who love the seals, but cashews that burned the skins of the harvesters not given proper PPE, fine, apparently. Yeah, totally. We're fine generally with human exploitation. I guess like the animal rights activists type of people just seem to be completely fine with human exploitation in order to have their animal substitute no animal byproduct versions of products. Plants feel pain and talk to each other. Checkmate, PETA. True. Oh, speaking of oh, you know what's funny? I think earlier I had 70 likes and someone took their like away. That's very funny. Now it's someone wanted it to be 69. I see what happens. The thing is, after we hit 69, the goal is to then go to 100 likes. I want a crab that's ethically euthanized via lethal injection of MDMA. True. Delicious MDMA crab. At the risk of sounding like an ass, shouldn't it be extremely obvious that fish can feel pain, and if you're going to kill it, then you should do it quickly? Yeah, I mean, it's just there's this belief that they don't feel pain, but we've actually done research on it, like, and they show signs of distress, so... Reminds me of a letter written by PETA to the Taliban asking them not to use camels in their suicide bombs. What the fuck? PETA is the worst. Yeah, Mr. Mitter? Yeah, he came in here and he straight up was like, I'm just here to lay on your floor. Like, all right, dude, have fun. Ooh, I guess a little, garden update kind of thing. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and buy some seeds. I was thinking about seeing if I could get any donated starts or anything, but I think I'll probably just go maybe buy some seeds that are appropriate for this time of year and try to see if I can get a fall planting going. But I also did buy, I bought a basil plant and a parsley plant because I've been wanting to garnish with parsley sometimes, and like basil also can be a nice little garnish. Or, ooh, I might make a classic style pizza, or that specific kind of pizza that has like the globs of mozzarella on top and then like one single basil leaf. And I also have some ginger. I planted some ginger that had sprouted in my kitchen, and so I have a little garden started now at home, just in pots, like, you know, just a little window herb garden kind of thing, and I'm happy with that. It's real nice. I possess plants that are green and they're in my house. Pout Lilith, what's up? Says welcome to the website. Says, I've always wondered why 69 is so popular until I realized it is, as we all know, the unique number that is such that its square and cube contain the digits 0 through 9, each appearing exactly once. That is fascinating, although I don't know if that is the primary reason. I think 69 is popular because it looks like the yin-yang symbol, and because it is alluding to a sex act. What size is your top? I don't know. I don't think it gets much bigger than this, though. This was like a little Amazon purchase or something. I don't actually remember where I got it. That straight up sounds like a South Park episode. Yeah, PETA sending a letter to the Taliban asking them to please stop using camels in their suicide bombs. That's for sure a South Park plot. I can completely see why you say that. Ew, sex. No, it's just the yin-yang thing. Yeah, sure. Wishful thinking for the aces. The kind of shit people expect you to do to condemn Hamas. Okay, so did Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot, what the fuck is her name? Didn't Gal Gadot just say that she laments that the fucking Snow White movie was not popular because of her being Israeli? Didn't she just say that? I don't know what Malbat is, but I'm mad that they're stealing people from my chat. Later, Mickey. Have a good night. But, like, no, nobody fucking wanted a fucking Snow White movie. Okay, here's the thing. Listen, let me tell you a secret, okay? Do you want to watch a live-action Snow White movie that doesn't suck fucking balls? Are you ready? You ready? You ready to learn? You ready to have some knowledge dropped upon you? Snow White, A Tale of Terror. 1997. Go watch it. They already did this. And, like, it's a good version. Malbat is good. Best to lose to a real competitor. I don't even know who the fuck this is. I was just telling everybody on the charity stream on Friday that I'm like, I don't actually know many other leftist creators nowadays. Jesse, who makes animations and music. Malbat. Okay. Is it better than Disney's terrible animated one from the 1930s as well? Well, I will say it's been a long time since I actually sat down and watched Snow White, A Tale of Terror, but it has fucking Sigourney Weaver in it, so... Oh, and Sam Neill. It has Sigourney Weaver and Sam Neill in it, so it's good. Go watch it. And tell me what you think. Okay, guys, I'm gonna take my midstream break, and I'm gonna rest my voice and just get some water and go to the bathroom or whatever. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and put on some music for you. Don't go anywhere or I'll cry. Not really, I'll probably be okay. Alright, back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. I had a snack. I had to eat something. I was like, oh shoot, I just realized I didn't eat beforehand. So I devoured this. And I don't really like these compared to some of the cookies that I've gotten. But I've started getting, if I can fit them into my budget, these Quest uh, different products. They have like chips and cookies and muffins and stuff. And the idea is like, for if you're on like a high protein diet, here's something you can buy that is still relatively high protein snack. Because, you know, you have protein goals, you got nutrition goals, you still need to snack. You know, it can't just be all chicken and broccoli. You gotta eat some cookies every once in a while. I don't think I like this very much, though. I mean, it's fine. It's a brownie. 10 grams of protein. Later, Naomi. Have fun. Have a good rest of your day. I also got a bunch of other skincare products. I know I was talking earlier, like, I've started using a different face wash and moisturizer. So the face wash that I got is Burt's Bees. It's a Burt's Bees cream-based one, so it doesn't foam or anything. It doesn't strip my skin as bad. And that was like $5. And then I got a bottle of moisturizer that I went, okay, so I feel like dermatology and like skincare products and stuff, it's a really predatory like industry, I guess, like a really predatory industry. And so I am finding myself, you know, unsure what to do. Like where this all started was makeup. I was like, maybe I should try to do makeup sometimes and like see if I can get better at it, because I've always been pretty bad at it, but I never practice. So that's where this all started. And then I realized, oh, I think I need to address some more basic level skincare stuff first. And, you know, it's like, where do you start? Who do you ask? Who do you trust on the internet? And I ended up finding a dermatologist who said she was like, I have very dry skin and I have sensitive skin. I don't know if I have sensitive skin, but I do know that I have very dry skin. So she was basically just giving a rundown of here are the basic things you should be doing. But she was also like, and this is the one that works for me. And I was like, okay, so a dermatologist who has a very similar skin profile to me, and she looks fucking beautiful. And she was like, I think she's also autistic or sensory sensitive in some other way, because she was like, I do not like my face to feel like there is anything on it. I don't want it to feel sticky. I don't want it to feel heavy. I don't want it to feel like anything. So I was like, bet. I'm going to go off of her recommendations. So I bought like a $20 container of fucking moisturizer. And then I've got some other, like a high quality sunscreen that also is basically like a cosmetic, is not inexpensive. And I got a retinol cream. Man. But I was like, it's worth the investment, because this stuff will keep for a few months. You know, yeah, it was a $20 thing of lotion, but it's going to last me like at least a couple months. So cool. I've tried using regular soaps like Sasquatch soap, and I hate how sticky it feels. Dove is usually my go-to. I use a Dove. I was like, I decided to specifically get a soap for sensitive areas. And I think that one was Dove, like an unscented for super sensitive skin. And yeah, I use that on very specific parts of my body. I just think it's worth it to learn about these things. I actually fixed the issue that has plagued my last 48 hours. By the time I'm done, I will just need a new skin. Because you're going to be tearing your skin off with frustration. Is that why? Much respect to people out there going for their PhD. You will be the second person, Viren, who has obtained a PhD during the course of being an active member of my chat. The other person is Decoy Duck. I'm so proud of you both. Can't believe we're already halfway through October. Or not October, August. I can't fucking think straight. Yeah, we're more than halfway through now. New skin, new hair, the usual, indeed. Mad respect. And like a PhD, I think people don't often appreciate what a PhD is. This is my hair stick, which I finally learned how to use to put my hair in a bun. People don't really understand, I think, what a PhD entails. Like a thesis, which like you have to do a thesis to get the PhD, is my understanding. A PhD has to be like, or a thesis has to be like an original contribution to your field. Meaning like it's not a rehash of something else. You're actually contributing something new. You're making a new connection. Like there's an ever limited number of PhDs. Like hypothetically, there should be fewer and fewer of them every year. The sum total of human knowledge is increasing. Yo, speaking of the sum total of human knowledge, I saw a post recently that was super poignant, I thought, which was about ancestral knowledge. And, you know, people do this thing sometimes where they'll go, I don't trust this, you know, science organization, kind of medical, whatever. And so they're like, I trust ancestral knowledge of using herbs or holistic medicine or whatever. And the post was basically saying, don't discredit the extent to which like the scientific knowledge that we have is ancestral knowledge, you know? Like our ancestors wanted vaccines, they wanted medicine, they wanted insulin, they wanted these things. Do you know how I know that? Because they made them. Like it's honoring our ancestors to get our kids vaccinated and to pasteurize our milk. You know, like our ancestors wanted milk to be pasteurized and milk to be safer to drink. And that's why it's safer to drink. The Make America Healthy Again people reinventing the idea of pasteurization, not understanding that that is what is the difference between milk in your store and milk that you get from some fucker who says raw milk for pets only. In a Box says the nice thing about filling gaps in knowledge is it just ends up making two more gaps. You take care of one enemy and make two more. That is apparently how science works. My dissertation is a combination of a short intro, short conclusion, and write-ups of 3 of my research projects. One of those projects is published, one was submitted for publication last week, and the last probably won't be published until later this year, if not next year. It has taken 5 years since I started doing research. And is that after post-grad? Like, have you already done some amount of graduate school at that point? Or sorry, post-grad wasn't the right term, but like, did you get a regular college bachelor degree and then a graduate degree and now working on a PhD? Is that typically how that goes? I love that I don't know shit about academia. Like, I went to technical school. Like, I did trade school. That's the extent of the college that I've done. Although I would like to. I'm gonna have to take my younger sibling to my younger sibling is gonna do some GED classes. It's not really my news, but it is exciting. I guess I'll talk about that as a parent. It's good stuff. Transcat Dad here. Hello! Started training for a new little part-time job tomorrow. Wish me luck. Good luck. I know that you straight up quit your job before because of transphobia, so I am glad to hear that you are going to be finding some new kind of thing to do. That's good stuff. Oh no, what did I say I was about to get back to? Oh yeah, so I guess like a little parenting proudness moment. Y'all know probably that I kind of adopted my younger sibling when they were 17. I learned that they were being neglected by my father and my stepmom in a way that was unacceptable. So I brought them to come live with me and work on school stuff. And we're really making a lot of progress, I think, at least academically. I feel like some of the other stuff is harder to make progress on, but I have them doing like therapy books and stuff like this. You know, I'm trying my best to make sure that their education as it were, is not limited to just here's a bunch of fucking algebra that you need to learn. Yeah, I'm having them do other things as well, and I'm hoping to continue having them do more and more stuff. Like you're gonna learn how to swing a hammer, and like we're gonna make a little birdhouse or some small project like that. They expressed an interest in like building things and taking them apart, and we talked about like the local community college and like what are some of their degree program things that they have or like certificate programs, and they talked about doing automotive. So I bought them a weed whip, and so sometime we're gonna take a look at that and like have them take it apart and put it back together. And yeah, they're going to be potentially starting basically GED classes. We feel pretty confident that they'll be able to do like one half of the GED just fine at this point. But we were like, let's see what else you need to learn. Even if you already know everything that they cover in the GED classes, at least you'll have a clear idea of like what to expect. You'll probably get practice tests, that kind of thing. And it's an environment to go be social because they're, a teenager living in my house who doesn't go anywhere most of the time. But it's nice. I'm like, oh, wow, we did manage to like do a pretty good job of like trucking through the years of knowledge that are required to end up with a high school equivalency. So yeah, I'm hoping that they'll be able to take the GED. Well, it's like 4 different tests, but I'm hoping that they can be cumulatively done with all 4 of those tests by, next year, possibly, which is exciting. And I'm like, it's nice to be able to help someone and help them like grow into a person and shit. Even if it does feel like we're scrambling to fix stuff a little too late, like if not aware, like pretty much just like no schooling was occurring for an unacceptably long amount of time. So we're catching up on a lot of missed schooling and, trying to address everything that we can in a reasonable amount of time. And then also probably going to continue supporting them as they get their first job and like learn what that level of responsibility is like and everything. So probably at least another year or 2 of them living with us. But yeah, just a little proud papa parenting moment. New boss is queer as hell. Hell yeah. Good. I'm glad that that's the case, and I hope that does help make it a better work environment for you. So to get the PhD for Viren, at least the process was like got an undergraduate bachelor's degree, did 2 years of graduate courses, and passing a PhD qualifying exam. And then now it has been 5 years of research on that topic. So a total of like 11 years? 11 years of... Excuse me. What do you do after that? Like, what do you do after you get your PhD? Like, you've published your research. What comes next? Do you become a teacher? Do you continue doing some other form of research? Like, what's the plan? I guess I've never really understood the purpose of getting a PhD. I have a friend who has a PhD. I mean, I guess I have a couple of friends who have PhDs, but like I have a friend who got a PhD while I knew her. And she contributed original research in paleontology, which is so exciting. I love her. You can go subscribe to her actually. Bridget Empire, Brigitte Empire. She now does the kind of political react stuff that I was doing before. So if you're still interested in that kind of content, she does that over there. Postdoctoral, adjunct, go into industry and get the big bucks. Lots of possibilities. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Lord Byron. That's awesome. Dr. Lord Byron. Lord Dr. Byron. I don't know which way it goes. I guess put doctor out front because it's the thing that you worked hardest for. Frog Sprog. Hello. Shakespeare says to Viren, I am excited for your very first, yes, for your first relevant internet argument regarding anything related to your doctorate. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, don't worry about me. I just have a PhD in whatever. It's something physics related though, I think. So I don't know if it's ever going to be relevant in a conversation in an online argument. Parenting your sibling sounds very challenging. I'm unsure if I could even be roommates with my 22-year-old sibling, partly due to the shared trauma from the parental abuse, same brand of PTSD. Ooh, that does make it difficult. We have different brands of PTSD because I mostly didn't live with them that whole time. Like, bearing in mind that I moved out when I was 15 years old, and I am now 31 years old, and my siblings were both toddlers when I moved out. We did not have the same parenting situation. Like, I grew up being physically abused by my mother, and I had my dad as like my safe parent, but even then he did still have inappropriate bursts of anger. I just wasn't being physically abused in that situation, but it wasn't like it was not scary. But he was still like my savior guy, except that like then when I moved in with him, I was also being neglected. I just didn't realize that until much later. But I only spent a couple years with him, so it didn't have the same kind of impact as being like neglected from a very young age and having that be your entire thing has affected my younger sibling. So in a way that makes it more challenging because I feel like we are on different wavelengths. And also I'm just so much older and I've had so much like treatment and stuff. It's just a vastly different perspective. So the age gap is not big enough that I could be their physical parent, but it is very close. Like if I had had a kid as a teenager, that kid would not be very much older than my sibling. So yeah, there's a pretty big age gap and a difference of experience that it presents challenges. It's certainly challenging, but it is so far like also rewarding. It's like they're a cool person and I like talking to them. And it's weird because I've never had a roommate ever. So that is, I guess, something that, I moved out of my dad's and in with my now mother-in-law. And my partner also moved in with her at the same time. And she had a boyfriend, whatever. We like lived in that situation for about a year. And then we moved in with my father-in-law. And then very soon after that, I was old enough to then have like a job and us get an apartment. So basically my entire adulthood, I've just lived with my partner. We've never had roommates. We've always had like the ability to afford a decent sized apartment for us to be in. We've had cats the whole time we've been able to support. And now we're down to one cat. And then bringing my sibling in has just been a little bit weird in that way where it's like, oh, it's kind of a bummer that I can't just walk topless through my house. But relatively minor inconvenience, and having a third perspective sometimes on things can be quite useful, and it's gratifying to get to see someone go from a place where they were kind of lost and like knew that they were in trouble but didn't know how to fix it, and then be able to provide a certain amount of structure and guidance, and then see that bear out in them gaining confidence and feeling safe. Like, okay, so here's something that I think is actually kind of funny. And maybe I wouldn't have had this perspective on this if it weren't for the fact that I knew a mom when we were in the process of being like, okay, we're about to bring our sibling over to live with us. I knew my friend Amanda, who is a mom, she was like excited about the idea of my younger sibling starting to catch attitude with me. She was like, that's so good that they feel safe enough to test boundaries with you, basically. They feel safe enough to express those, like, frustration and everything. And I also feel like it has helped me understand power dynamics a little bit more in depth. Like, because there have rarely ever been situations where I'm, like, truly, completely on the top of a power dynamic. And like sometimes I'll get annoyed and I'll have the impulse to like be really shitty about it. And then I'm like, I would never do that to my partner. And it's partially because I'm kind of nervous that my partner would get really seriously pissed off and then we're going to have another month-long fight. And it's because I'm like, oh, okay, so if I were to allow myself to like be shitty in this way, that is me exploiting a power dynamic. Because the reason why I feel permissive to be this way is that this person has no ability to fight back against me, and I have complete control over their life. Like, so just kind of like a constant learning experience. I think it has helped clarify for me, like, I don't know, I'm feeling like the urge to be like, ooh, what about kids though? But then in practicality, I'm like, I don't even like how much attention my cat wants from me. I'm thinking about getting an entire second cat, partially because my cat wants my attention all the time. And I feel like he needs a buddy who is not me. And also, he's not allowed to like sleep in our bed with us. So I'm like, you need someone to cuddle with at night. And sometimes I wonder, like, maybe it would be actually easier if it was someone who was 100% blood related to me, because my sibling is like a half sibling. And there's just like little things sometimes that are obnoxious, like trying to cook food for 3 people with different genetic things on the table, you know? So it just it puts me off from the idea of like adopting in the future. Upon successful dissertation defense, I will change my Discord name to Dr. Lord Viren for at least a few weeks. I do biophysics stuff. I'm a physicist who is also a molecular biologist or biochemist in a sense. Nice. You don't let your cat sleep with you? No, we don't. And it's mostly the fault of previous cats. Because, like, Lucy would, like, lay on top of my body. So I'm a side sleeper. So he would be, like, sleeping on my body over here. And then I would be very considerate and gently lift up him and then rotate myself underneath and then set him back down on my other side of my body. And he would like hiss at me and get mad. And so very quickly after that, it was like, no, we're not dealing with this. Like, I don't sleep well in general anyway. And we don't have a very good mattress that is like big enough for more than 2 adults. And yeah, it's just... Oh, and all of our cats have always had, like, at least some amount of throwing up or hairball situation. And I don't want to have, like, hairball on my bed. And also, you have to leave the door open. So a big part of it for a while, I think, was that we were sleeping during the day because we were working at night. And we needed the room to be, like, as dark as possible. So we didn't leave the door open for the cats to come and go. And then that's just kind of continued through forever. It's like, we just don't like having cats on the bed at night. I would love to get a king-size mattress, and then maybe... But then, like, yeah, it's the same thing of, like, I don't really want the door open all night, especially now that I have a roommate type situation. Like, I want to have sex in the middle of the night. I gotta get out of bed and go shut the door. It's a small price to pay. It's just a lot of little logistical things that make it not ideal to have a cat allowed. It's not that he's not allowed in the bed ever. Sometimes during the day, I'll, like, you know, leave the bedroom door open and he's allowed to get in there. But it's the same kind of, like, don't puke on my bed shit that I don't want him in there all the time, just, like, whenever he wants to be. We have healthy boundaries. Like, yes, you're allowed in the bed sometimes. And sometimes I'll even, if I go to bed early and he's in the bed because I let him be in there, I'll just like sit around in there on the bed with him. And so he gets that experience of being in the bed with us. Having sex while my cat judges us from the top of the dresser. Why be like that? Yeah, I'm definitely, like, I'm not into the idea of having a pet in my room. While I have sex. Like, yeah. So it's like, okay, so, we want to have sex in the middle of the night. I have to kick the cat out and then close the door. I find sheets easier to clean than my carpet. I mean, yeah, but he's gonna puke on the carpet regardless. Like, I don't have any control over that. He's gonna puke on the carpet anytime. Okay, guys, I'm going to end up hopping off in about 30 minutes, but just giving you a warning now. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. I've just got a lot of shit that I need to do this evening. Oop, hold on. I need to text my partner real quick. I just let my cat do whatever the fuck she wants. I must appease the feline overlord. Y'all know that I am not like that. I have never been like that. I guess maybe there are some situations in which I am like positioning myself in a power dynamic. And this is one of them where like sometimes I might be like, oh, the cat is on my lap and oh, I don't want to disturb the cat. But if I'm like uncomfortable, like I sit with my legs crossed and a cat in my lap, for example, like Lucy or Deegan the Mighty would sit in my lap that way. And if it gets uncomfortable enough, like I might lift up the cat and shift my position and then put the cat back down. But if it gets uncomfortable enough, like I'm gonna put you down on the floor. But that's partially because I know that you're just gonna want to get back up here later. So it's not like I'm depriving you of something. Although it is also important to keep in mind things like your cat might spontaneously die. And so you want to make sure that often enough you're giving them that extra time to be like, okay, if Kitty died tonight while I'm asleep, or like tomorrow while I'm away at work, I feel like I will have closed that chapter well. You know, that is one thing that I learned from like Deegan the Mighty was our cat who passed away like 3 or 4 years ago. He was the first major pet death that either of us had in our lives, like at least in our adult lives. And we'd had him since we were teenagers. So yeah, it was a big deal when he died. And that was the thing that I learned and internalized the most from that was, you know, yeah, I don't want him on the bed most of the time, but I have to put him in there I have to let him sometimes. And like, it's good to let the cat go outside on the porch every once in a while or on the patio or whatever, in a controlled kind of environment. Let Kitty have experiences so that I will feel like I gave them the best I could, you know? And I wasn't like, oh, go away. I don't want your attention right now. You know, I don't know. You just got to make sure. When the cats inevitably take over as the dominant species on this planet, they will remember our acts of appeasement to them. That's true. I've joked before that if I ever had enough money, that I would breed cats. And I think I don't actually know if this would work the way that I think it would, but the general idea is one cohort breeding them for selecting breeding for intelligence. Like the cats who can problem solve and the cats who can understand English and all that kind of stuff, like breed for desirable intelligence characteristics, and simultaneously breed cats with beans, with thumbs. You got to breed the cats with extra thumbs, and, you know, maybe they develop enough like actual musculature to have a functional limb instead of just like a thing that's there. And then start breeding them together. And then you have intelligent cats with hands. I would be a super villain if I had enough money. Oh no. Shakespeare says, my mom said, I don't do the whole pets are my kids thing. And I keep telling her she needs to acknowledge her grand kitten because she ain't seeing any kids from me. Oh no. My cat Jack likes to hide under the bed and yowl at 4 a.m. It's so cool. He likes puking under there too. Gonna block it off with storage containers soon. Yeah. Ooh, thank you for reminding me, Oliver. I was going to look for a bed skirt because we have like a super tall bed frame in order to fit boxes underneath it. Like it's like, oh, okay, so we have an entire queen size bed amount of space that there could just be a bunch of boxes underneath. We have so much stuff. We need a garage so badly. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I kind of want it to be more pretty. something I'm learning recently and internalizing is that it really does matter if things are aesthetically pleasing to you. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to impose that. Some people just don't give a shit, and I think that's fine. I am noticing a significant difference. Like, I finished hanging up all of my vines around the room, and it's, the main purpose of that is to be a sound dampener, of course. Like, okay, we're going to reduce the amount of echo by just putting more shit on the walls. But it's also, like, pretty. It's like these vines. Whoa. Whoops. Spun around. You spin me right around. Anyway, so it's like these vines, but they're like all over the room. And, just, excuse me, not even just how things look, but like a pleasant, oh my God, a sensory experience. Like I got a really beautiful air spray. It's like citrus basil. And I use it as basically like a shower mist, or even just when I'm waking up and brushing my teeth and washing my face in the morning, just like spray some of this essential oil mix into the air, and it's like really pleasant. So I would definitely recommend, if you can make things cuter, I'm just going to hide the bed frame and all the ugly boxes under my bed with a cute bed skirt. Eugenics, but for the extinction of the human race and the advancement of the feline gods. True. We have bed skirts, but when are we getting bed thigh highs? That's a great question. Get some little, like, sock type things to put on the 4 or, like, 6 or however many posts you have on the bed frame. Trans Foxy might be my fave. It's not really intentional for that to be Trans Foxy, although I want to show you something with Foxy. So this is actually the only one that I opened. My partner, like, and this was the hardest one to find. I like basically destroyed the most valuable collectible that I've ever owned by opening it. But anyway, my partner found like all 5 of these, and each one came with a part of the one from the 3rd game, and then you can like put them all together. I've only ever opened the Foxy because I like Foxy the best. And then one time my partner took, what is this? I think this is like a tie to like hold a bag shut or something, and he like turned it into a little flower. I don't know if it's easier to see from, but there we go. It's a little bit easier to see that way. Turned it into a little flower around Foxy's ear, and I've just left it there. It's been literally like 8 years. Yeah, it's my little guy. It's really dirty from dust. I should give it a little Q-tip bath sometime soon. There we go. My little Foxy. I love the dragon figurines too. I ended up putting, this is Drogon, and it's metal. It's like this one. It came as a bunch of flat aluminum sheets, and I had to cut them apart and bend them into place and then like fasten them together. So this is like a regular 6-limbed dragon. This one's Drogon, so he's more of a wyvern. This is my dragon Rorschach. There's actually another teeny tiny clear dragon right here next to this bigger clear dragon, which was a puzzle that I put together. And then there's also this tiny little purple dragon that's origami paper that my friend Julie made for me. Yeah. Lots of dragons. Oh, and then it's August right now, so that's the dragon that's up for August. I changed this banner because one of you said that it's a little bit weird having something so bright orange right in this place, so I decided to go ahead and swap it for a different banner. I hope that works a little bit better. It's like at least a little bit less distracting for the whole frame, and then I can be like, I guess this is like, where is it? Okay, this is still a little bit of like a color pop behind me, but at least it's really small. So I am the most brightly lit thing in the frame. Short skirt's okay. True. I saw a skirt at the thrift store recently that I almost bought. It was so beautiful, but it was also like a super bright blue. And that has now got me wondering like about not only so I've been seeing a bunch of foraging and natural things like classes, and some of those classes are like how to dye things with natural plant parts. Like you could forage some invasive plant parts and then use that to like dye your clothing or something. And so that's got me thinking about dyeing my clothes. And I have a skirt I've shown you guys before. It's like pink and lime green, and it has like orange cheetah parts, and it's just super weird. And I'm like, I really love how swishy this skirt is, but I do not like the colors. But I love the skirt so much that I haven't gotten rid of it. So I'm like, ooh, could I maybe not bleach it, because bleach would damage the fabric on a fundamental level. But is there any way for me to like desaturate some of this and then maybe restain it with something else? But man, I don't know. It was such a pretty skirt. Just like blue, like screaming blue at you. Could not have been louder. Thank you. I like having the flags up there. I think they look good. As a kid, every pet I had never lasted more than a couple of years. Since moving away, every pet I've had since has lasted a lot longer. Only ones lost since were old or left with my family were a month and were lost while away. I won't say my family were the reason, but clearly they didn't help matters. Holy shit. Yeah, like holy fuck. Like what are your parents doing? That's crazy. I would be like, what is happening? Like my parents are like secretly or unintentionally nuking all of my pets. That's wild. Were they? I don't know. I don't know how to describe. Anyway, don't forget, we're running out of time to see what's in the box. I may or may not leave what's in there. The treasure chest in the corner. There's a treasure chest, and there's something in there. And if we get to $100 in donations, we can find out. But I don't think we're gonna get there today. And there's never a guarantee that it's gonna be in there next time. Like if we open it, we definitely get something new next time. But if we don't open it, we may or may not get something new next time. And then you never get to know what was in it today. Dude, look at this cat's eyes. That is a beautiful, like, grayish color that I wonder if it's just like a saturation issue, but that's so crazy beautiful. What is up with those eyes? What a beautiful boy. Oh, man. Pretty. I think the box might need a plinth. I know, I'm thinking about maybe putting something over here. I just haven't figured it out yet. Like, you guys might remember I had that turquoise set of drawers, and I had it on there for a bit. But it's like that turquoise set of drawers is also my pagan altar. Like, so putting a big fucking box on top of it would kind of suck and take away like a dedicated space that I have. You know, I don't know. Yeah, there's a secret treasure box. We open it when we get enough donations. I might be able to move, like, some shitty drawers over there instead. Possibly. That might work. And just use that as, like, the surface for the chest to be on. It would be right about where the guitar is now. Which is also, like, it's a little bit behind my monitor boom arm. Or my microphone boom arm, excuse me. Kitty. A plinth over an obelisk? Well, there's no accounting for taste. True. I guess I could find, like, some dedicated thing to put over there. I could put, like, just a little table that doesn't have anything else going on over there, I guess. Like, I suppose I can't see why I wouldn't do that. I just have to think about it when I'm off stream. Sometimes I forget about the treasure chest until, like, 5 minutes before stream, and then I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna put in there? on Tuesday, I'm probably going to have my partner put something in there. And then so Wednesday, we'll have something else that my partner put there. Lux, do you cycle? I got a hand-me-down bike from a friend, and I'm starting to get a new passion for riding. A bicycle is on my list. I have in my kitchen, on my whiteboard in the kitchen, I have a list of things that I want and a list of things that I need. And a bicycle is on, and a helmet and everything are on the list of things that I want. Partially because I want to teach my younger sibling how to ride a bike. Like, dude, like this is, I'm telling you, this is the depth of the problem. My sibling doesn't know how to ride a bike or swim. Never did any sports growing up. Like, so we want to learn how to ride a bike. And so the goal is to probably get one. Oh my God, now that I have my car back, there's a bunch of biking stores, but a lot of them close pretty early in the day. And one of the biking stores that I'm aware of has it's basically like an apparatus. Let me see if I can find something to show you what it is. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find what I'm looking for. Okay, I feel like this is really close. Okay, so this is like the only picture, but one of the stores that I was looking at has a thing that is basically a super duper adjustable bike that you sit on, and they can change like the angle at which things are put together. They can change the height of things. And this is a way for you to basically get the correct size bike for you. And I am curious now that I have my fucking car and I can go during the day. Sorry, I was saying that these close at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So the one that I was going to that has this thing closes at like 5 in the afternoon. So I was like, shit, I can't fucking get there. So now that I have my car, I can go sometime during the week and get sized for a bike. I might not even end up getting a new bike. That might just help inform my decision with regards to purchasing a used bike, but I'm really interested in it conceptually. For sure. You should totally find a secondhand bike before spending a bunch on one. It can help you figure out what style of bike you prefer before making a big investment. Yeah, part of the issue for me is that I have a disorder called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which sometimes is worsened by certain body postures, and specifically body posture where I'm like leaning over. If I'm like leaning forward, sometimes my heart rate will just like randomly increase in a way that's quite painful and distracting. So I can't have a bike that's like super leaning forward. I would have to have a bike that's upright. I actually do have a recumbent bike pedal situation in my bedroom that I use in the mornings to get some like exercise in the mornings, which is basically just like it's some pedals on the floor and a little magnetic sensor that tells you how many pedals you've done and how long you've been doing it. So I do have that. And so technically I'm already like working on the ass muscles involved with riding a bike. But it's kind of more of a recumbent position though, where I can sit completely upright and just pedal without dealing with that. Yeah, it's a tough mix for sure. I would definitely need like a bike with high handlebars probably is going to be the biggest difference. My wifey syndrome, I know. Was there something else that I like retweeted that I would want to talk about here? Step through Dutch bike helps posture with you sitting up instead of leaning forward like a mountain bike. I really hope that I'm not ever precluded from mountain biking. I don't know if I'm ready, if I would go that direction, but I do want to hike, and I do want a city bicycle. Like, I don't know if those are those ever going to converge and I'm going to want to mountain bike and I just can't because of a physical condition that I have. Okay, but I want to see what that is. Step through Dutch bike. Whoa, not bitch. What? Started to type bitch. I guess I don't know what makes it a step through. Might not be the best for hills. Ooh, that's tough. There are a surprising amount of hills here in the valley. I haven't ridden a bike in like 12 years. Me neither, I don't think. Actually, when was the last time I rode a bike? I have no idea. I learned how to properly ride a bike as an adult. Started with training wheels as a kid and then never progressed past them for some reason. No road bikes, you gotta go full cruiser. Mountain bikes will definitely have you leaning forward. Yeah, that sucks. But I'm gonna go consult with like a professional who sells bikes and be like, you know, in order for me to do this and be comfortable, is there gonna have to be some kind of adjustment? Does your condition act up if you have a straight back while leaning forward, or is it more if you're slouching? It's any amount of leaning forward, including like if I'm just on my belly sometimes. Like if, like, part of what was so difficult about me working as an electrician was that I would have to work in attics. And sometimes that requires like being like army crawling through places, and it was really uncomfortable. But it might have been like it was hot too. I don't know. I'm working on all kinds of different posture things though, so it's possible that maybe with some posture adjustments it might be different, because I'm realizing that I have like my hips tilt really far forward naturally, like not naturally, but like I have just cemented in a posture for my hips that is harmful to my back. So I'm trying to tuck my hips forward, or like roll them back basically, but trying to find that neutral pelvic position. And then that is also affecting what's happening in my upper back and like the area entering my neck, because I've also been trying to work on correcting this hump that I have by like tucking my chin and bringing my shoulders back and stuff. So it's kind of a multifaceted thing where I'm trying to get better head over heart, heart over pelvis like posture. But I would have to experiment with it more. And it, like, so if I'm like, if my back is like neutral posture straight and I lean over, like, would it trigger? The answer is I think sometimes it does. My new job is only 2 miles away, so I'm going to be cycling there most days. Hell yes. That is good shit. Be that guy. Get cardio in, you know, be stronger, have a nice ass. So good. And like, I think the bicycle is a great form of cardio because because everything is so car infrastructure dependent. It's really hard to get fucking anywhere if you're walking, you know? Like, yeah, sure, walk around your neighborhood for the sake of getting exercise, but it's really difficult to like walk from one place to another with a destination in mind in a reasonable amount of time, because shit's just so far apart. So I feel like the bike is a really great way to hit all of those notes, where you can use it to exercise and also to fucking manage to get places. E-bike might end up being the best option. Assisted pedaling is a wonderful thing if you're in a hilly/mountainous area. Plus, it's relatively fast. Yeah, but the difference is like a $600 price jump for an e-bike. We should swim everywhere. I don't care if there isn't any water on the sidewalk. At least try. Yeah, just give myself some like road rash and blisters from the heat of sidewalk. Just swimming. But cool. I'll look further into the Dutch bike, at least, as a concept. And then I need to actually maybe make a point to visit that bike store this week, because otherwise I'm going to forget. I'm definitely not ready to purchase a bike at this time, unless I can get a cheap one for like $5 on Marketplace, you know? Walking 2 miles takes too long. Driving 2 miles feels ridiculous. Cycling is perfect. Yeah, 2 miles, what is that, like a 10-minute? It's a 10-minute, 5-minute drive, something like that. I guess depending on what the speed limit is. Like, is it 2 miles in town versus 2 miles on the highway? Prices up at the grocery store a lot again. I'm wondering if I'm going to end up saving money going to the farmer's market. I do think that there are some things, like purchasing things seasonally means that they're less expensive when they're in season. So if there's a lot, there's a ton of peaches right now, they're trying to get rid of the peaches, so the peach price goes down. And then, like, if I want to buy asparagus pops up in the springtime. So if I buy asparagus in August, then am I paying a premium for a product that is not in season? But I spent definitely more money than I meant to at the farmer's market this week. It's hard not to. And it feels good supporting local businesses. And I buy I'll buy my cabbage here, and then I'll buy my carrots here, and then I'll whatever, I'm just trying to be more responsible with my money. At least I'm not eating out all the time. It's probably better than eating out all the time. It's like a 4-minute ride in the car, a 40-minute walk, or 13 minutes on the bike. See, that is perfect. As long as as long as it's not a big deal for you to show up to work a little bit sweaty. That is the one thing about riding a bike to work, is that you might end up getting so sweaty. Especially because you live in Missouri. It's fucking hot there, as far as I understand. And you get to touch grass and breathe the air and be outside. Yep. Okay, well, I have a lot of stuff that I need to do this afternoon, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, everybody. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for donating, for liking, for all that stuff. And, real quick, good news from Missouri. A local socialist won city council here. IDK if she's openly running on a socialist platform, but I do know her personally. She also helps run things at the local LGBT org she's based. We love to see that. Be the change you want to be locally on the grassroots level. That shit makes a big difference. Okay. All right. Love y'all. And I'll see you on Wednesday.